Hi there. Welcome to Hey Sound Guy, the podcast where I'll be peeking behind the curtains of the wonderful world of music. Each week I'll be speaking to sound engineers, music industry professionals, and musicians. We'll share some fun stories from the road and get to know them a little bit better. Now my next guest is a good friend of mine. We've known each other for about 12 or 13 years. We've worked together for Dream events. We worked together for Wise Productions. We worked together in Pinnacle Solutions. He's a fantastic DJ and music producer, and yeah, we got into it a little bit. This was a wild one. I hope that you enjoy it as much as I did. Here he is, ladies and gentlemen. Please welcome Dillan Akers.
Hello, Earthlings.
Hello, Earthlings. How are we all?
Good. Akers, not Akers.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
It's a childhood traumatic experience with that.
I bet.
Even going to the bank, it's Mr. Akers. Like, no, it's AK.
Akers.
Akers, that's correct. Yes.
Right. That, like the AK-47. Yeah? Machine Gun Man.
Dude,
that's a brilliant song, man.
They know about the AK-47 on Call of Duty.
Brilliant. Is that your handle?
I'll show you this picture from the other day. 98 kills on a single stage.
Well done.
It's a highlight of playing Call of Duty.
Damn. Which one? Black Ops or something?
No, the new one.
There's a new
Warfare.
One. All right.
About 5 weeks ago,
okay.
Myself, my friends got together. There's a friend of mine in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
So we've had to come together to play Call of Duty on his time. So it's like 11 a.m. in the morning.
Damn.
So we usually started going from about 11 till about 1 or 2 in the afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
And that's obviously your whole day messed up. Your whole day is gone. But during this time for like a 5-week stretch, we played every single day. Single day. My wife was also eventually, she was like, listen, do you think at some point that we could have a normal day again? That we can talk about some normal shit.
Brilliant.
And what we did with this was, because there was like 4 or 5 or 6 of us, you can, communicate.
Mm.
And they put out this new stage on Call of Duty where it's an anti-camping stage, Camping means you can't sit in a spot and...
Oh, right. Yeah. Just like a good sniper spot.
Yeah, there's none of that. Doesn't exist.
Okay.
It's such a small map. You can literally spawn in front of people and just you die all the time.
Brilliant.
So during running around, the running around frenzy, I actually noticed something. I was like, everyone's running around. We're all dying. So I just started going prone. Now, prone obviously means just lay wherever I was.
Yeah, just lay down.
Yeah, even if it's in the middle of the map, I just lay down. What I started to notice is people weren't looking down.
Of course.
So people started running past me all the time.
You're just like
I sat there with the AK. Not even from the back, in the middle of the map, they had all these containers, and people are just running there all the time. And there's just so many dead bodies. I laid down. I looked like I was one of the dead bodies.
Because the dead bodies don't disappear.
No, they stay there.
Damn.
So everyone kept running past, and I just da 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 da.
Smart.
Yeah, and so what happened was my friend who was on our team, he was laughing. He was like, "Man, I don't know what you're doing, but the guys on the other team are complaining about you because you keep killing them."
Oh, brilliant.
And I got to a point where people started catching on to what we were doing, just sort of laying down. And then I had to take a break after the last stage we played was 98 kills, 35 deaths, and I pissed everybody off with the game. And I got all the game highlights. It was just laying down and just watching people running in front of me dying.
Brilliant.
And we were using the AK after that. And so the Call of Duty thing came to an end last week.
Okay.
After about 5 weeks of hard play, we're like, Lord. That's the end of it.
That's serious playing, man. Have you checked out the new Doom Ultimate?
I'm not a
Doom
demons
fan?
And zombie type of a fan.
I love it. I remember the first Doom when it came out. Oh, mate, loved it. I played that one and Doom 2 until the computer didn't want to do it anymore. And then Quake was awesome.
Quake I could handle. In all honesty, I'm a bit of a scaredy cat.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Right.
So I don't watch horror movies anymore.
Oh, okay.
Thrillers I can handle, but scary stuff,
no.
I don't know, it's a weird thing where it freaks
old.
me out. I'm older, I'm just a scaredy cat. Hey?
Yeah.
And so this demon game stuff, don't play that shit. The zombie games, don't really play that.
Okay.
Don't like to have that in my psyche.
Okay. Well, all positive things. Then.
Well, I don't
Killing people is so much better.
I don't think you can call Call of Duty a positive thing.
Yeah, just kill people. It's so much better.
The good thing about the coronavirus is that I think gamers.
Yeah. No, it's fine.
Gamers have now had the license to game.
Yeah.
Because you've been told to stay at home.
That's it, man.
And to not leave your house.
Mm-hmm.
So what do?
You play games.
You game.
Perfect. I installed the Xbox app onto my computer here. I haven't been playing games in forever. I kind of stopped when my computer broke when I was in high school, because I used to play all the time. I mean, we had LAN parties, and those are the days when you used to, actively had to connect the computers together with the LAN cables and all that. We played
the
for days and days. Red Alert, Command and Conquer, we played the hell out of that, and Quake, man. And then after, I think, what was probably one of the worst weekends of my life, I came back home, and because I was always working on my computer, like I was always doing, because I built it, so I was always making modifications, doing this and trying that and these and those. So I'd been away for the weekend, and I'd come back, my computer was on the floor, and my mum's dog had decided to mark its territory on my motherboard.
Ouch.
So, yeah.
So that keyboard and mouse? You're not a console gamer? Keyboard and mouse, computer gaming?
No, I mean, I never really got into it, to be honest with you. I just I was, when I was a bit younger, I played a lot of guitar, so it was, do I play games or do I play guitar? And the guitar always won. And then I just got busy with life, really, and then there wasn't much time, and now, I've got a kid, so there's no fucking time for that. But hey, what you gonna do? Yeah. But, yeah. Okay. Well, that was a fun intro. How I like to start,
yes,
normally, is if you could introduce yourself.
Okay.
Dillan Akers.
I'm Dillan Akers.
And what do you do, and how did you get to do what it is that you do? Tell us a little bit about your journey.
Obviously, I'm from a mom and a dad who got together.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm from South Africa. Originally born in Cape Town, and I came.
Oh, they changed it afterwards.
Hey.
You said you were originally born in Cape Town.
I was born in Cape Town.
Yeah, and then they changed it.
Yes, they did change it, because absolutely 9 out of 10 of my friends think that I'm from Mpumalanga, from Middelburg. They've never paid attention.
Brilliant.
And it's no joke, because I even said to my wife, I said, look how many of my friends think that I'm from where my mom and them are living now.
Yeah.
And I just did that where I asked, literally, I think about 15 of my friends, and only one of them were like, no, you were born in Cape Town. Everyone's like, oh, you're from Mpumalanga.
Yeah.
It's like, damn, I need to get new friends.
I just changed the birth certificate. Fuck it.
So I came to London in 2003. My dad's Welsh, my grandfather's Scottish, and my mother's side also is originally from England. Right. She's a Churchill.
You did it the legit way. Your mum's a Churchill?
Yes.
Okay. Any
so
relation?
Her great-grandfather is James Churchill, who's Winston Churchill's cousin.
All right.
And
check
then, so they all, at some point long ago, went to South Africa and set down roots in South Africa.
Mm-hmm.
And
they're like, fuck this Winston guy, I'm getting out of here.
Yeah. Well, he was a prisoner of war in South Africa.
Who was?
Winston Churchill.
Is that true?
Absolutely. Winston Churchill was a prisoner of war in, I can't remember which war it was in South Africa. It could be the Anglo-Boer War, maybe, or it was a young guy. And then he escaped from a train in South Africa, and then I think he made his way back to UK.
My lord.
Yeah.
That's something I didn't know.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm not sure how the whole family split or whatever came, but so his cousins, James Churchill, moved to South Africa, and my family, my mom's side, originated from there.
Well, I suppose it would make sense that it was the Anglo-Boer War, because that was 1899 to 1902. Say, if he was 18 then, plus 40 years, that's the Second World War, isn't it? And he looked like he could have been about 60 around that time. Oh, fucking hell.
Yeah.
There you go.
Because obviously, you know, at those points when they were still doing the colonialism and stuff like that, you were drafted or you were in the army and you went wherever they sent you.
There was no choice,
Yeah, there wasn't. So I know that because there's a heritage site in South Africa where he escaped from the train, and there's like a plaque there saying this is where Winston Churchill escaped.
This is where we fucked up.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is a reminder, right? Why we need to secure the trains. More security on the trains, please.
Yes. So anyway, so from that, I suppose I was destined to always come here. Yeah. Then I came here, and funny thing is, when I was in South Africa, I was in the restaurant trade. I was a restaurant manager from very, very young. Worked in the service industry. I was in America as a chef, and when I came here to London in 2003, I wanted no more part of it because the hospitality industry,
it's tough.
You know for yourself,
I do.
It's pretty tough. We used to be able to make a living from it in South Africa as a waiter. You could make a decent living. That's how I saved up to come here back in 2003. But you know those days are gone now, especially in South Africa.
What's the rand pound now? 24.
Don't even know. It's that ridiculous.
It was 24 the other day. It's
that ridiculous.
It's the highest it's ever been.
Yeah.
It's insane.
And then I came here, worked in a hotel. The first job I got when I was here, they wanted me to go and work in their restaurant as a restaurant manager, and I told the front of house manager at the Hilton Hotel, I was like, hell no, I don't care. I don't care how qualified I am to do this. I'd rather carry people's bags, and she accommodated me with that, helped me carry people's bags, and then my journey really started. Not helped me, but put me into the position of, start off as luggage porter. And then my journey kind of started from there because new country, don't know anyone. I think I knew one person here, and then, how it goes, you make friends, and then from there...
Well, you're a sociable guy, of course you're going to make friends.
I was also quite young back then, so sociable, I could drink for days.
Jesus, tell me about it. Yeah. Right. So you you started in the hotel, and then where did you go after that? But wait, because you you're also a music producer, DJ. You're into the trance scene and stuff like that.
Yes.
Was that always the case? Was music always a big part of your life?
Yes. I think about things a lot. If I change this, if I change that, but then no matter how I look at things, no matter how I look at things, if I changed anything about my past, I'd never have met my wife. I'd never be in the position that I am now. I'm not a super rich, but I'm incredibly happy, and obviously that's what life's about.
Yeah, man. Job satisfaction is the number one factor.
Job satisfaction? What's
is
that?
the number one factor. I tell you.
I don't have a job right now. Do you have a job right now?
Not right now. Well, I suppose this and building stuff. I'm designing a sauna, which I'm going to put in my backyard.
So the music thing in high school, I was sports orientated, played club football.
Right.
Did lots of cricket, did a lot of athletic stuff, and I always made fun of the musicians. Piano, blah, 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 bit of a nerd. I
was the same.
Made fun of them. And then when I left high school, I went to a festival, Vortex in Cape Town.
Right.
And this was against the instructions of my dad. Remember when I used to live with my mom, and then I moved down to my dad when I'd finished high school, and one of the first things he said to me was, there's all these parties, Vortex and Alien Safari, which sound kind of crazy already. It's like, you don't go there, that's devil music, you don't do this, you don't do that, you stay away from that. And I've never been exposed to dance music. Music has always been a part of my life, but then it's been parents' music, 70s, 60s, and I always used to go to bed. I mean, you remember
Beach
5FM?
Boys, these sorts of things, yeah.
Do you remember 5FM?
Yes, I do.
They used to have like Titch Mataz and then Barney Simon with Uncle...
Barney Simon was my favorite. I'd listen to Barney Simon every night. Uncle Paul's bedtime stories. I found them online, all of those, and I downloaded them.
Oh, that's so cool. I'd like to listen to that.
Yeah, I'll pass them along.
So music was always, I remember every night going to sleep with the radio on, falling asleep, my mom would come in, turn the radio off. So I've always been inclined to that side. And it's only when I got to Cape Town and the first festival that I went to, I remember leaving the festival at the end, and I was just standing at the back of the dance floor, completely in awe of what I have just witnessed. And my friend, one of my oldest friends, he asked me, what are you thinking about? And I pointed to the DJ and I said, that's what I'm going to do with my life. And they was on like, okay. And from that point, and this was, I think, back in 2000, I started. I was on like a one-way mission. So it turned into a bit of an obsession as far as DJing goes, because I'd never seen people doing that stuff. And we'd go to parties, and all my friends would be dancing, getting completely wasted and mashed up. But I always found myself in a position, a vantage point where I could see what the DJs were doing. I was actually just so focused on, wow, what are they doing? That's the vinyl. I understand what records are, but what is he doing? How is this? I knew nothing about BPMs. I knew nothing about kick drums, and I knew absolutely nothing about music. And I just became absolutely obsessed. And within a couple of years, I realized something, that I could not do it in South Africa because I needed like money, like family money, like a lot of people have.
No, you need startup
capital. They can go in college and they can do this. And I left home at 17 years old. I did it on my own, didn't take a cent from my family. I just decided I'm going to make this on my own. And then I realized that in South Africa, as you know, there's no chance. Unless you've got that money, there is no chance.
Yeah.
So I decided to come to UK. But
you said you went to America first.
Yeah. Afterwards, Joe, because in America, that's where I realized there's no ways in South Africa I'm going to do that, because when you go to a first world country, equipment is first world prices. You're earning a first world salary. It's not the difference is not that.
That's
that
right.
much.
Yeah, it's not that far removed, or it's not a distant, unattainable goal.
Yeah. I looked at 2 turntables. I looked at the Technics 1210s and a 3-channel Gemini mixer, and that was back then. It was about 17,000 rand back in 2000.
It's a pretty penny.
Back then, it was like, what? How am I going to do this? Then it was, you could be layover. You could just okay, so I'm going to buy it, but I can only collect it in 3 years once I've paid it off.
Yeah,
doesn't make sense to me.
Let's not do that.
Yeah, so in America, I met a couple people, and one of my roommate at the time, he was actually a DJ in Cape Town doing very small underground parties, and him and I hooked up in America, and I kind of liked psytrance at that point, and then we shared that, and I didn't really know much about DJing, and him and I were like, okay, well, this is what you're going to do, and this is what we need to do, and we were doing parties off of CD Walkman.
Right. Brilliant.
We just had 2 Walkman.
Yeah.
So it was basically an intro-outro mix, because with trance is long intros and sort of long outros, so you could always kind of fade. And we were doing house parties in America, in Miami, where we were, for about 4 months, and I loved it. And there was a club called Radius. I even forgot about that, but you made me think about this. We used to go to Radius on a Thursday night, because it was a South African night on Thursdays.
In Miami. South African night.
Yeah, great.
Brilliant.
Let me explain this to you quickly, otherwise you'll get a better of a understanding. In 2000, they had these work programs for South Africa.
Yes.
You could go work overseas. And there was thousands and thousands of applications. It was for hospitality, it was for chefs, it was for lifeguards, it was for golf professional, whatever.
I went and did harvesting in America.
So you did, exactly. So you understand the work programs. So this particular one we had was Workaway International. It was a country club in Miami, Florida.
Right.
So they selected 120 South Africans out of probably about 18,000 or something like that, and by good graces I got in to go. Yes. Yeah. And all we had to do was pay for our passports, and they paid for our tickets, they paid for our accommodation. We got paid a salary, so they looked after us. They had organized transport to work. We didn't have to do anything.
Right.
So all we had to do was go there and work. So I was lucky. I was a chef at that point in the kitchen. So my shift was 7 till 3, 7 in the morning till 3 in the afternoon, 5 days a week. We lived in
fucking holiday, mate.
Yeah, and it's tropical. It's insanely warm out there. Also coming from South Africa, there's these white beaches, and you see things that you've never seen before. We've seen these things on TV. I think at that stage also, they remember that Will Smith video, "Welcome to Miami," that had been playing on MTV. So we got there and we were like, oh my fucking word.
We have arrived.
Like this, we saw this on TV yesterday. We're actually, so completely mind blown. Never left the country before. So anyway, so my roommate at the time, he was the guy who was DJing. Yeah. So he kind of took me under his wing a little bit, and then we found other DJs within the South Africans that were in the program with us. So we kind of got together. We started throwing house parties, in South Africans. So we used to fill like our houses with like 50, 60 guys, and then people come around and we were doing this in Miami. And then on the Thursday night, they had South African night at this club called Radius, and it was like drinks were incredibly cheap. It was the club to be, especially in Boca where we were. And somehow we made friends with the resident DJ. So every now and then he would pass me the mic. He'd be doing, I'd be like, "Yo, what's up? The South Africans."
MC
like,
Dillan.
Yeah, I was MCing, and then he let me do a little mix in the club the one night. Obviously very early. I was very bad because I didn't know anything about BPM, didn't know any of this. And so from Miami, when we went back to Cape Town, I was with all this group of friends, and we had started doing this stuff in Miami, and we started then doing house parties and stuff in Cape Town. A friend of mine had a restaurant at the time, and he closed his restaurant, allowed us to black it out and throw a party in the restaurant. And after a few years of doing these things, that's when I realized, there's no ways. If I want to have a success or at any chance of being a DJ, there's no ways I'm going to break into the scene here, because A, you don't have money, B, so you had to establish yourself elsewhere. Yeah. That's when I decided to come here to London. So yeah, when I started working at the hotel, it afforded me the opportunity within about 6 months to get my DJ equipment. I got 2 CDJ 1000s, Pioneer DJM 600, 2 massive speakers. I can't even remember what they were, and I got myself an insane Behringer amp. And I mean, when I stood these speakers one on top of each other, they would maybe just touch your roof now. That's how big they were.
Yeah, back in the day. And heavy as fuck as well.
And when we started throwing underground parties, this was the sound system for the main dance floor, and it pumped. It was so loud. And then from that, working in the hotel, the music thing just kind of took off, because then I met another DJ. People, and then from that it led to a radio show, and then from a radio show everything just opened. And then, I mean, we could talk about it a little bit more in depth, but from then, so I went from DJing, and then you reach a point as a DJ where you have to make music. You have to make music.
You're going to have to start making your own music.
Yeah, because no matter how good you are as a DJ, someone's always going to want the person who made that track that you're playing. Yeah. So in Cape Town, I came across a friend of mine, Alan Gross, and again, not knowing anything about music, but this guy had an insane ear. Like, the sound that he was sort of putting out, without also not knowledge, just by messing around, is very unique to what I've heard. So him and I started messing around with some stuff together, and then when I came to UK, he came to UK. I went to go and study, and him and I worked on this project called OCD, and from that we've had loads of releases, traveled around, gigged around, and so it's kind of come full circle. So now I'm writing music and I'm still DJing. So it's been about 20 years that this whole thing has happened. Yeah,
that's great. Yeah. Tell me the radio show. Tell me a little bit about that.
Before I talk about the radio show, I want to say something. I'll talk about the hotel. The hotel I worked at was the Hilton London Metropole Hotel.
I know where it is, yeah. We did a lot of work there for Pinnacle.
Yes. So that's where I kind of know you, was from the Pinnacle days, which is
back in the day.
16 years ago, maybe.
2005 I worked for Pinnacle.
Yeah, so that long ago we're talking about. That hotel, that was the hotel, the train station, the Edgware Road. That was the station that got bombed in the 7/7 attacks.
That's right.
And I was working at that hotel when the attacks happened.
Mm-hmm.
Now the funniest thing is, the day before the attacks happened, my schedule kind of swapped around, and I was given the next day off. And I was in my lounge watching TV. I remember I was playing games or something, and my phone started blowing up, and I looked at, I had probably about 60, 70 messages. Are you okay? What's going on? And
Please
I was like,
let me know what's going on.
I was like, what am I missing? Turn the TV over and saw that the hotel had been bombed. And then, it kind of doesn't sink in, and you realize, holy shit, this is where I work. What the hell is going on?
This could have been me.
Yeah, and my boss at the time, I'd switched departments at that stage, and I was in security. So, we had done a lot of surveillance of the hotel, and we were next to Paddington Green Police Station. And the head of our department, he was on the train when the train exploded.
Damn.
And he was on 2 carriages or something away from it, so he wasn't badly affected. And after
PTSD.
Yeah. Well, it was. I got to see security footage because they then turned our hotel into the sort of first aid station. So they cleared out the hotel, and then it was just police everywhere, ambulance everywhere. It was one of the most insane things. I think they gave me another 2 days off while everything cleared up, and I was able to go back to work and start to see this. And that hotel, after all of that happened, I decided to leave, and that's where I met you. It was at the Pinnacle days, and you and Moran. That's where the journey into knowing each other kind of began. It was after that whole thing had happened.
Time.
Yeah.
I was I was somewhere in Wales that day on a De Boer's job, building marquees. And I remember panicking because I couldn't get a hold of anybody in London. It was a bit crazy, wasn't it?
I didn't realize then that actually on that time UK went into full lockdown. But it wasn't lockdown for like what's happening with COVID-19. It was just so surreal because it was like they were under attack.
Yes. Where
now it's like a different feeling. It's not about being under attack. It's more about survival. Where then it was kind of like, what the hell's going on? So back then it was a little bit different. That was one of the reasons why I'd seen you guys doing work at the hotel, doing events, and I was also thinking like, I really love this stuff. I want to do this. I want to work with lights. I like sound. I want to do this. I want to do this. And then when that all came together, I think it was probably about 3 or 4 months after that, I was like, cool, I'm out of here. We're actually working next to Paddington Green. Did some of the terror suspects, are they in Paddington Green? Yes, right next to a hotel. Having to sit down with counter-terrorism police saying, this person, we're looking at this, we're looking at this. So if you're, and it just became so surreal. I was like, oh my gosh, we're in a,
I studied at City of Westminster College on Paddington Green, 2006, 2008. So that was. So but I was that day. I wasn't at college. I was working.
That was nuts.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's just weird. Like, I don't know. That whole situation still was a bit sort of like, again, with.
Yeah.
Let's not get into that. But
no.
Let's not get into that because.
Okay, so we could change the subject. I'll answer your question about the radio stations.
Yeah.
I think I'd left the hotel at that stage, and I was working for Pinnacle.
And Dream Events.
And Dream Events and all those guys. Yes, those. Let's not go down that road.
My God, Dream Events. Well, they put me through college. I can't complain. I met some good people there, but the clients.
There was good people. That's how I made some really good friends.
The people that we worked with were great.
Yeah.
I still have contact with all those people.
The
clients.
It was not the clients ever. It was the people running it that made that environment so hard and so tough and put us through what they did. It's nothing to do with the clients. It's how they.
Well, prepared. I mean, yes and no, but I had some personal interactions with some of the clients. Towards the end, I was, running gigs, sort of doing production management and stuff for them. And yeah, having to liaise with the clients and stuff like that. And a lot of those times I just walked away like, man, these people, honestly, like they're so far removed from reality.
Do you know where one
crazy.
of their owners is now?
No.
So what happened to them?
In jail.
No. So what happened to them was one of their owners moved to America.
Yeah.
I won't say his name.
Yeah, no.
He was collecting a paycheck. The other owner came back, decided he didn't want to deal with it anymore, liquidated the company, reopened the company in a very short span. I can't remember if it was hours, days, or weeks afterward, but literally under the same name, but just changed the spelling slightly.
Oh, right.
Got rid of everyone in the company, closed the contract with the other partner, and then it turns out that the other partner who's in America, he's opened up like a prop company, and he was running pretty much almost all of I think it was the East Coast events. If you wanted props, you got it from them. And I was like, oh my word, Dream Events have now infiltrated the States.
God damn.
I haven't done work for those guys in a very, very long time. No. It was not a good experience, but yeah,
No, same here. Like I said, it was good for what it was, and I appreciate that I was working Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They gave me enough work to do that, and then Monday to Thursday I was at college, so it was perfect for when I was studying.
Yeah.
Again, I'm like you. I didn't have any financial backing.
Self-made man.
Self-made man. Yeah.
We could digress about dream events and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But through the time, where I was staying in Cricklewood, we were throwing house parties for friends.
Right. Did you stayed with Jason Henry as well, didn't you?
Yes,
you lived with him.
Yes. I stayed with him.
That's a good man.
Yeah, his brother Byron, who was my roommate in Miami in 2001.
Right.
So I met his older brother, and then then through him, then I met Jason, became very good friends with Jason, and then he was working at Dream Events, and we worked at Dream Events and stuff like that. I actually spoke to him 2 weeks ago.
Oh, right. How's he doing?
Very good.
Fantastic.
South Africa's a bit of issues right now.
I spoke to More yesterday.
Did you speak to him?
Yeah. It's I did a podcast with him.
Did you do a podcast with More?
I did in the end, about nearly 2 weeks ago now. And the reason why I haven't brought any of my other podcasts out, because I'd done a few after that, is because I want to get them out in sequence. And unfortunately, the connection was so bad that it's unusable, which is a shame.
Because you gave him such stage fright when he was here in December.
I didn't give him stage fright. He was scared all on his own. No, he was keen, and we did it. It was a fantastic podcast. I really enjoyed it very much. But unfortunately, you can't, people aren't going to watch
it gets frustrating
every
after
3-4 minutes.
Yeah.
So we're going to do another one. I spoke to him yesterday. We're going to do another one. Hopefully, now that things are easing a little bit more, not as many people are going to want to be on the old interwebs at the same time. So hopefully the traffic's going to be less. Maybe there'll be better bandwidth. And he said also that he's now bought himself a Cat 5 cable, so he can go directly from the router, which will make a massive difference, because he was on his phone outside. Not ideal. What you're going to do?
Not ideal at all.
Right. But he wanted to smoke the Darius, and he couldn't smoke them inside. So what's he going to do? I mean, just don't smoke for 2 hours.
Oh man.
Yeah. Well, what you going to do? Anyway, so yeah, More, man, he's a lovely guy. But tell me about South Africa.
We've known each other for a long time.
You and I.
Yeah, we've known each other, and we've known the people we talk about. We've known them for a long time.
About 15 years. I met More 15 years ago. It's May now.
I made it be pretty cool, but I won't talk about how we met. But his name was given to me pretty cool, and I was like, "Hey, I'm Dillan," and then from then we become friends.
How's it?
Yeah, it's been funny. I called him the other day just to see how they were doing, because I know obviously him being in the film industry in South Africa, they're incredibly affected by what's gone on. That whole sector's shut down. So people are having to be creative and find other avenues. but also it's become a bit ridiculous where you can't actually leave to go and find work because
you're not allowed to leave your house. It's insane.
I've never in my life seen that, where my dad was also saying to me that in order for them to just go stuff, you have to go and get a permit.
Yeah.
And you've got to go and then explain
well,
why.
He said yesterday he's got a permit now. He's back. He's doing some work.
So Moray got the permit.
Moray's got a permit. He can go out. And we were talking about chocolate recipes and stuff like that. Because as you know, I like to make a bit of chocolate every now and then and stuff like that. But yeah, he's got a permit now, so he's allowed to go out. But he's like, man, I'm in trouble. I've only got 3 packs of smokes left.
Yeah.
And I can't find it. He says it's easier to find everything else than it is to find cigarettes or alcohol. But I know so many people. Remember Alvain, right? Of course you know Alvain. He made this group with a bunch of South African guys that are on WhatsApp. These guys are all just like making my own pineapple beer, making my own this, making my own that.
Jason was also talking, because they've done that. He showed me the brew that they made, and he says almost like cider.
Yeah.
So you got to be kind of innovative and creative.
To be honest with you, I think it's a blessing in disguise, because we've become so reliant on being consumers that we have completely stopped making things for ourselves, and we forgot how easy it is to do these things, right? Some of these things take a long time, yes, but they need minimal management, right? Like, I got super into baking sourdough bread, and it's delicious. I mean, I make 1 large bread a week. It takes me a day, but I mean, I'm not standing there all day. You mix the dough, then you leave it for 40 minutes to activate the bacteria and stuff. Then you mix in more water and salt, then you leave it for 2 hours. You come back, you fold it over, you leave it for an hour, you fold it over again, then you take it out and you scrape it so it creates a sort of like skin and it's tight. Then you leave it for another hour, then you fold it over again, put it in the tray, then you let it leaven, put it in the oven. Yeah, the whole thing takes about 8 hours, right? But you don't have to be there. And since I've got plenty of things to get on with in the backyard, I just in the morning, the night before, I take my starter out and I leave it on the counter so it's warmed up and it's ready, and then I'll feed it in the morning when I get up, because you got to feed it every day.
Sourdough's such a weird thing.
It's a
live,
thing that's alive.
Yeast that you're going to bake.
So then I feed it, and halfway through because as it sort of like rises and activates everything again, then halfway through the activation of the sourdough, then I start mixing my dough up and leave that, and then I'm busy in the backyard and I'm doing this and that, or I'm coming and going, and so I mean, things like that. We've completely forgotten that we can do these things for ourselves, and now also people who maybe didn't think they could do it, now they're like, oh, look at this, I can actually do this, and it's kind of brought us all just a little bit more in touch with doing things for yourself rather than being ultra consumer.
Instead of doing it, being able to just go to the store and go and buy it, or let's order it online. And
also, people, you taste the difference, literally.
You know why?
Because
love.
That's what it is.
People can laugh as much as they want to.
100%, mate. You can
Any chef will tell you, if you don't put love into making that food, it's gonna come out shit. 100% of the time.
You know what? On Monday, I baked a bread and it fucking flopped. Okay, I've been doing this for 5-6 weeks that I'm making it with huge success. Right? Everything I did on Monday was an absolute fucking disaster because I wasn't there mentally.
Yeah.
Right. I had an off day. I woke up and, unfortunately, things had happened. The tensions were high and my mind wasn't there. And I made fed cook as well, right? And they were terrible. They were fucking terrible.
All the fed cook I've made for my wife have come out insane.
Great. I use because I do the sourdough as well.
For people who don't know what fed cook is, you should explain.
Okay, right. Fed cook is an old Dutch tradition. They call it oliebollen, and it's fried bread.
It's fried dough.
Yeah, fried dough. That's right. Sorry, fried bread could be, differently understood. It's fried dough that creates this, and
Fresh,
you can have it.
dough.
You can have it sweet or savory.
Yeah.
The other day the first time I made it, which the other day, because I've never made it before. I don't know. I just had this attack of like, I want fat cook, and so I made some curried mince with it as well. Oh,
I did that for my wife. We made the fat cook because when she came home with me 3 years ago to meet the family for the first time, my gran asked her to make fat cook and to give us some of the traditional stuff, that we grew up on.
Bobotie and those things.
Yeah, not so much bobotie.
Boikikos.
We did, of course, you got to do poiki. That's a
non-negotiable.
no-brainer. Yeah. But we made fat cook, and she was really like, "What the hell is this?" And then I'd say probably about 2 months ago, 3 months ago, we made fat cook, and they came out insanely, really big, super fluffy, nice and crispy. The inside made the curried mince. She ate it, and also then I was like, "You don't have to have a mince. You wanted to just
honey,
butter or jam." She absolutely loved it.
Ham and cheese.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's just.
She loved that.
Good.
With the love though, with the food, it's always that. You have to, if you're like, then just go buy a ready meal, put it in the oven. But then when you open it up and you eat it, you're just like, this tastes so bad, so bland. Exactly. But if you're making food and you enjoy it, you're tasting it, at the end of it, it comes out as something that's. Yeah.
No, you're 100% right about that. I'm not. It's my.
Or let's change the word love to care.
Well, you
instead
can
of like putting love into it, you put care into what you do.
Isn't caring just a division of love?
It is, yes.
Why not?
Yeah, it is.
There's not enough love. Let's fucking love the hell out of it. Why not? It's funny because it's almost like as a man, you can't talk about love. I'm not like that. I've never been like that. I hug my friends, and I fucking tell my friends I love them all the time.
You can't hug your friends no more.
Fuck that shit.
We have to self-isolation high five.
Yeah, that's right.
Social
like on
Demolition
Man. Have you remember that movie with Wesley Snipes and
I love
Sylvester?
that movie. It's social distance high five. 2 meter high five.
Oh my God. Very soon you're going to have to put on a VR helmet to have sex with your wife.
Funny enough, have you seen that new program on Amazon called Upload?
No.
It's so funny.
It was a series, is it?
Yeah. It's come out this year. It's super funny. It's basically when you die, you have a choice. You can either just die and that's the end of you, or you can upload yourself into this mainframe. It's like a virtual heaven, but it's on a computer program, and you can still speak to your family.
Right.
You can
by
call
text
them.
Message or something,
No, you can call them.
Right.
Because the program, so you can actually see, so they're normal walking around in this program, so you can see them, you can chat. So it's like they're alive, but they're alive in this virtual heaven that you can see them. Yeah. And that's one of the questions the guy asked. If I'm in this place, will I still be allowed to have sex? So they laughed and they said yes, because of this. There's the suits and stuff. And his girlfriend goes to the store to go pick out one of these VR sex suits. So I won't get into it too much. Just like, what the fuck is that shit?
And it's not that far away, mate.
No.
It's not. If you look at all these like sex dolls and stuff coming out of Japan, it's fucking insane, mate. And they're becoming more and more realistic.
We might have to steer this conversation a little bit away from like this sex doll type of a.
Why, have you got one?
No, I got a wife. More than adequate, thank you.
Fair enough. Right, let's get back to the radio station. You never really fully got onto the radio station and how and when and why.
Okay, so I think I digressed a little bit. So leaving the Hilton Hotel and working for Pinnacle, I was throwing a house party one night, and in this house party for friends, I met this guy. He'd been living across the road, or one of his friends that were living across the road came over and brought him with, and he was a progressive trance DJ. Long dreadlocks down to his ass, and I was like, okay, you're legit. You can see,
you look the part.
Yeah, so him and I were talking and about the DJing. He was like, man, whatever about the skills and blah, blah. And so him and I started getting together, just like fucking around, doing a bit of mixing. And he came to one day, he's like, look, there's this ad for this radio show, Will Dance FM. Would you be interested in like doing something with me? We can send in like a demo, whatever. So we sat down and we were like, okay, well, what are we going to do? So he would do the first hour, which was progressive, and that goes from like 126 BPM up to about 138 BPM, you know, very slow, groovy, funky, melodic stuff. And then I would do the more faster BPM, which was more the psychedelic stuff. So that was from about 140 BPM to about 145. And at that point, that was
such a narrow bandwidth.
Hey, yes, yes.
Wow, is that how you define the different styles of trance and different styles of dance? Because I mean, in all honesty, I don't know that much about it. I used to listen to hard house when I came to basically when I came to London, and I was finding myself through all sorts of chemical enhancements, as you will.
Well, fun,
right? A bit of fun,
lifting the veil.
Lifting the veil, a lot of ecstasy, a lot of hard house, a lot of
Tiger Bomb.
Hey, I don't know what. Oh, Tiger Bomb. Yeah, shit. Fucking forgot about that. Right. So yeah, I was just like, I didn't know shit. I just went along like, oh, we're going clubbing. Let's do it. So yeah, if you can maybe.
Explain.
Let's finish the radio station, and then we can go into the trance.
It'll come to that. Okay, so the question that you're asking about dance music, it's convoluted and complicated at the same time.
Yeah.
Because when a lot of people, anybody that's been working on music, let's say 15 years and plus, when we started doing certain things, there wasn't really, there's this genre and this genre and this genre. There was basically, this is psytrance music.
Yeah, now you get so many different subdivisions of dance music as you get different, sects of the Christian faith. You know what I mean?
Exactly, yeah. So dance music, especially trance, has become this ridiculous pile of subgenres at the end of the day because everyone's trying to be right and it's about personal preference and blah, 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 blah. So generally the slower BPM music, so let's take the genre that we're in, psytrance. So usually between 128 and 138, maybe now 140 BPM is what's considered progressive music. Because the beat's slow, your heart rate when you're doing stuff should be between like 130 and like 140 or something like that. If you're like
Jesus, bro, your heart's gonna
exercising.
explode.
No. Like, if you're exercising, like dancing and stuff. But if it goes above that, obviously you can't dance for that long because then it's like, so what they started doing is that type of slower music, they would have it playing during the day. So obviously if it's in the heat and you're doing whatever you're doing, you're not getting that badly affected by
you can
stimulus.
Endure all the way through to the night.
Yeah, so then from a certain point in the evening they'll switch over where now the faster BPM music starts to take over. So there's usually that. So there's like that type of BPM, and then psytrance used to go up to about 145. Then somewhere along the line, I'm not sure what year it was, I'm thinking that's kind of when Camden Town still had the Dream Temple, where you could go buy CDs and you could sit and you could get a stack of 10 CDs and listen to them through the headphones and stuff like that.
Those are the days.
Yeah, so that long ago, and somewhere along the line, people decided they wanted more hardcore music, nighttime music. So they started pushing the envelope. So anywhere from 146 BPM, it went to about maybe 150, which then that BPM starts to become more like hard house BPMs. It's a really driving style. And then over the years, people have pushed the boundary even more, and now it's gone up to about 190 BPM.
In psytrance.
In psytrance.
My lord.
Exactly.
Because isn't the whole idea behind psytrance that it's just like mellow?
That was the idea. It was like, trancing, spatial.
I always look at it as like the hippie section of dance music.
Yeah, but let's look at like the progression of like rock music, for example. It started off as people harmonizing, do whatever, then
Boys.
rock, and then it ended up in someone like Marilyn Manson and Slipknot.
Yeah, 100%. No, I'm not poo-pooing anything.
No. So that's what happened to trance. So it started off in one direction where everyone was like it. People were like, I like it a little bit darker, and then it just exploded into a category of subgenres.
Yeah, it's as vast as the stars.
Yeah. So the radio show, going back to that, so what Tabs at the time did was he took the sort of slower BPM, which he really loved, and it was, I kind of liked that style, and I took the mainstream, the psytrance at the time. So we worked together. We called our show Tribal Tabs. And sometimes what we'd do is him and I would be like, okay, so you've got the slow BPM, I've got the fast BPM, let's mix in the middle, let's find stuff. And then we started to incorporate like 3 CDJs. So we'd have 3 CDJs, we'd have like an air effects sampler, and we'd have bongo drums. Right. So we started turning this DJ into an experience, into what we were doing. Sorry. So the radio station, Will Dance FM, took us on board. We really like your stuff. We don't have any psytrance. Start now.
Just stopped. Okay. Cool.
Okay,
so,
it's going.
Yeah.
So the head of the radio station at the time was a guy by the name of Joey Vasquez. I think he might still be alive right now. I'm not sure. But when we joined the radio station, he was in very, very bad shape. He was one of the original UK DJs back in the day, with God's Kitchen and the Love Parade, and all these street parades that were happening, along with Carl Cox and these type of guys, like that type of house. So he was in there as a house DJ. He's not like incredibly famous, but he was around from those days. So you can imagine, being a top DJ in those days, you get given a lot of things. So when you're young and you're on top of the world and you're doing those type of things, you don't realize that one day these things are actually going to catch up with you if you're not responsible about being irresponsible.
Yeah.
So when we started doing the radio show, he was fine. He was walking around. He was doing his thing. We had a very good slot on a Saturday. We had quickly it went into being the #1 show on the station.
Wow.
It was crazy. It was my first also time being in a proper studio. We were in Fortress Studios in Old Street, and Fortress Studios had some of the top dance labels at that time, Platypus Records, and there was a label Paul Oakenfold was on. Okay. There was about, I think, 6 different record labels in this building, Fortress Studios, where we were.
Right.
And I think we had that radio show for probably just under a year.
Nice.
But within about 3 months, Joey, the owner, he took a very bad turn. He was actually then in a wheelchair, couldn't walk properly.
Damn.
And this was from years of
abuse.
Ecstasy abuse, cocaine abuse, drinking alcohol, and we were witnessing that.
Erode your fucking bones, man.
Yeah, and it was, for us, when we walked into the station on a Saturday, we took over from these guys. I can't remember their name now, but they were very, very popular sort of minimal house DJs at the time. They had their own brand, so we took over from them. But whenever we would go into the studio, the DJs beforehand, you'd always find when you went into Joey's office to go say hi or whatever, he would always be in there in his state with other people drinking alcohol, and there would be things going on in his office where we even said to one point, like, man, you're dying. We first saw him on a walking stick, then into a wheelchair. And what I used to do is when we would come in every Saturday, I'd bring him a box of cottage chicken wings. He loved that. And so within about 4 or 5 months, we were running the radio station. Like, I would have to come in and we'd have to open things up and switch everything on and make sure things were going good, and then make sure when we left we handed over and blah 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 blah. And he ended up in a hospital, and we had to kind of dismantle the radio station and then start streaming from home. Right. And it was so weird because then there were a couple of...
It takes the vibe away, doesn't it?
Yeah, and also there were a couple of DJs that he had that were overseas. So he had this link set up where there was a DJ from Australia who at some point would take over from this person. So there was always like international links that we were trying to set up. And the radio station just kind of fell apart.
Okay.
And then eventually, I think after about 2 months, he got better, got out of hospital. And then we got an email that there was a new premises and that we needed to go have a meeting with him at a new premises. And we got to this place in, I think it was Battersea.
Right.
And it was like someone's garage. It was literally like someone's garage where they keep their cars. And he had set up this really makeshift receivers and radio broadcasting. And then we had these jingles and all that. And it was literally such an amateur job.
Right.
And then he started wanting us to pay to do a radio show.
What? Pay to play.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And it was like, why are we having to now pay to keep you afloat? Let's start looking at stats. Let's start seeing the listeners. Let's start seeing this. Let's start looking at that. Let's start seeing all these things.
Yeah.
You know, we want to see what's actually going on. He could never show us. And then, so myself and Tabs, who were doing the show at the time, we had this massive fallout with him, and we had one last show to do. So Tabs didn't turn up. He was like, "No, I'm not going down there." And I said, "Look, I'm going to go down there anyway. I'm going to go do the show.
Yeah.
Let's just end off on a high note. It's all good." Yeah. So we went down there, and the whole time we were doing the show, the Joey Vasquez was standing over the mixer, ready to kill my feed if I was going to say anything about the station.
Yeah.
And the whole show, I just kept saying, "Guys, thank you for listening. You know, thank you for making this the number one show." Blah blah blah.
So this is the show was going out live.
Yeah.
From the
live.
beginning, it was never a pre-recorded.
No, it was always live. It was always live. So that's what he was worried about. You know, was us like dissing him live, and I'm not. You know, I'm not that type of a person.
No.
Because with the radio show created better opportunities for me, and it was because of what we're doing on the show and there's new things that we're doing that actually got us kind of noticed in UK. Because we had labels sending us in mixes from DJs. And we had DJs message, "Can I be a guest on your show? Can we do?" Because it was the only Psytrance show like sort of happening in London at that time that was recognized. It was on a dance music station, so it wasn't. So you know, like EDM and that type of house music, it's going to have a lot more listeners than sort of underground music like Psytrance and drum and bass and stuff. Like inherently, it's going to have a lot more.
Yeah, 'cause obviously, as with all genres, you're going to have the casual listeners, and then you're gonna have people who are, you know, focused into the subgenres or the whatever. It's like if you look at the statistics of people listening to pop and rap because it's popular, they're like, "Oh, just listen to anything."
Yeah, but also the commercial value. If your track can be played on radio, it can be played to the masses. So Psytrance music's not going to get played on the radio because it's exactly as it says, psychedelic music. And a normal person listening to that's not going to appreciate the nuances of, you know, how the producer's written the music, the kick or whatever it is like that. So commercial music's always going to have a higher value. So commercial radio is always going to have a lot more listeners than an underground radio or whatever the case is. So it was a really good radio station at the time. And anyway, we left. I thought that I left on good terms because I didn't cause a scene. I didn't diss the guy. When I left, I still tried to shake his hand. Yeah, I still tried to shake his hand, and then he almost spat in my face because we were leaving. It was a massive debacle. So anyway, like I wasn't even going to be, because this guy was basically in a wheelchair. He was fucked up from years of alcohol and drug abuse. And I was just like, what? There's no point. And walked out there, left. That was the end of that. Then I went back to South Africa 2009, I think. 2009, so like 2012. I think I was back for about 2.5 years. When I was back, when I went to South Africa, the work that I had done here as a DJ, you know, got me on the map. So when I went back to South Africa after about 7 years, people knew who I was.
Great.
And it had an advantage because I've been away for so long. People understood that I'm not really a South African citizen anymore. I don't have a South African passport. I'm a British citizen. So they started putting UK next to my name. And as soon as they did that, it sold a lot more tickets for an event. It was all of a sudden I was considered an international guy, DJ, whatever. Yeah. So... And I didn't, honestly, I'm not blaming anyone, but I never, ever played a set where people were like, "Oh, that was so bad, that was so..." Every single time I went out there, it's like this could be your last gig, and go for it, and you don't stop doing, you know, what you're doing. And after a couple of gigs, I went for, they got me on an interview for another radio station called Mother FM. How I got the interview on Mother FM, I was on a record label at the time based here in UK. I got signed to a label before I went home. And one of our producers on the label at that time had did a Bob Marley remix. It was white label, so obviously not released. It was just something that he did. And he did about, I think, 7 different versions of it. And he sent it to me to have a listen to, and I picked one version. I was like, man, I love this track. How you've did this remix is insane. Do me a favor. I have exclusive rights to this track in South Africa. You know, no one's going to play it. You're not going to give it to anyone. He was like, okay. Didn't think anything of it. I really love the song because it's I Want to Love You. And I was playing at this massive festival, Groovy Troopers. It doesn't exist anymore. They stopped doing festivals, but they were a massive festival. And just before I got up to go and play, the producers before me, they were having really ridiculous problems with the mixer. It's crackling, this, everything. And I was like, oh my God, how am I going to do this? Because this is like fucked. So I went backstage to the sound engineer and asked him, like, you know, what's going on? Now we've got problems with the mixer. Can you change the mixer? Yes, we can. I was like, you do that. I'll get ready. Once my track is ready to play, you change that mixer. When you give me the okay, I'll hit play. He was like, okay, yeah, no problem. And then about 10 minutes before I played, he said, no, we're not going to change the mixer. Everything's okay. We fixed the problems. So I went up on stage to play, and as I was like trying to mix in the track, system cut out.
Oh, nice.
Like, like, okay, and I'm standing up there, and obviously you've got like 5,000 people going like, boo.
Yeah. That's funny. That's like, it's your fault.
Yeah, it's my fault. It's just like, guys, so anyway, so I had to stop the track, and luckily it was literally about maybe 10 seconds into the track. So they came up, changed the mixer. And then I was like, you know what, I'm just going to intro this track. I'm going to start with this track. And the opening is like, you know, and it's reverb, and it sounds like very far back, and it just starts to come to the forefront. And then it just starts like, I want to love you. And as that kicked in, I'm still getting a bit of goosebumps thinking about it now, the whole dance floor just went apeshit. And then as that first beat kicked in, the dance floor just was and that song for like an hour and a half of my set just set that place. It was crazy. And that particular track, for some weird reason, all of a sudden everyone was like, who the fuck is that track? Who's got that track? Where do you hear that? Everyone was like, oh, Dillan, you got this track. Can I have it? I was just like, hell no, guys. They emailed the producer, hey, you know, can I get that track from you? And they were like, nope, Dillan's got the rights. If you want it, get it from him or whatever. Every single party I played after that for about 6 months, those people were begging for it. They were begging for it. It was like, oh, and after about 6 months of playing it, I had to put it away because I was like, guys,
it's done now.
It's done now. We've killed this track. Never got released though, which is a good thing. Which is at that point. So after like playing this track and literally just going on the road for like months and playing everywhere, I got an interview on this radio show on Mother FM.
Yeah. And
after I did the interview, I was on my way out, and then the owner of the radio station, Nicky Lauder, he's a very famous hard house DJ in South Africa, UK guy. Nicky Lauder, yes, he owned Rugged Vinyl. Yeah. He ran Unity. As far as like hard house and house is concerned, he was the man in South Africa.
Yeah.
Johannesburg, anyway. So he owned the radio station, and when back in like 2001, I had an incident at a trance party, which I was like, okay, I'm going to stay away from festivals, so now I'm going to go clubbing. And clubbing was when I was introduced to hard house. And Nicky Lauder and all these guys, week in, week out, at all these clubs in Cape Town, I went to go see them, and that's also where I was starting to watch these guys on the decks. How is he doing the vinyls? And I still saw Nicky Lauder one day drop this track, leave the decks, run around, dance, like get into like the stage and dance with everybody, get in, then run back into the DJ booth, pick up a vinyl, drop a vinyl, within about 30 seconds, mixing a new track.
Back and dancing.
It was the most. I was like, what the hell are these guys doing? And that kind of, inspired me. And Nicky Lauda for me at that stage was like, almost like God mode, like, wow, he's the man. So when I spoke to him about doing a radio show, I was pretty happy about it. I was like, okay, yeah, cool, I'll do that. And he had promised us like sponsorships, and we would get paid, we would get contracts, we would get all this type of stuff, and if I could promote the radio show with the gigs I was doing and all of this, things that were now surrounding me, we'd benefit from it. But what I didn't know prior to doing this is that they had about 2 or 3 different Psytrance shows on this radio station, because it's Cape Town, and everyone, that was the scene. There was a scene back then, and so I didn't know about it. And then another DJ that I'd known, when I told him that I was doing the show, and I think it was on a Thursday, and I'd seen him on the Wednesday. I was like, oh, hey man, listen, I'm doing the show. Maybe not this week, but the week after, you want to be a guest on my show? And he's like, oh, what station you on? I'm like, Mother FM. And he was like, ooh, sorry, bro. Wait, what are you talking about? I go, oh, well, I was on that radio station about 2 years ago, and we were the ones who started the Psytrance thing. And like Nicky Lauda, he's just, it's very different to what you think. Just lower your expectations. So I was like, okay, that's never a good sign, but he could just be a disgruntled person, So the situation of that radio station was on the beach. Insane location. It's right in like a cafe, so people came to the cafe, and you could see we had glass studios, so people would be eating, drinking, and they'd see there was a radio show going on there. So it was a really insane
fun
setup.
Environment. So
it was a really fun environment. So after doing it for a while, I managed to speak to all the promoters. So I struck up a deal with promoters. If they were bringing international artists to the country, they would come on my radio show. Because 9 out of 10 of those parties I was playing at. So they're like, okay, yeah, you're playing show. You come down, for a weekend. So if you're on a Thursday, they're usually here on the Wednesday. So with Thursday night, we'll get them on the show, do a bit of promo, and on and on, and so on and so on. So I started actually getting that. So I recorded so many interviews with some really famous Psytrance guys, some guys from old school, some new guys, just anybody who was down. And then I joined up with a friend of mine who was on a really big record label. It's probably the biggest record label in the world, Nano Records, which is a South African-based label. Well, they've left now, and they're now based in UK. Obvious reasons. South Africa's not a place where these things can grow anymore.
So much.
Well,
it is, but I know.
So myself and my friend Brett, he was also a very well-known producer at that time. Him and I we changed the name of the show. We called it the Psy Effect. And obviously we did our own intros, and we turned this completely around. And within about 2 months of doing the show, our show, again, #1 slot.
Fantastic.
Because our chemistry, just how we're working with people. And then
it comes back to the love, mate.
Yeah, to the love, because we're doing stuff because we love. We genuinely, and even if there was no one, even in like the winter, so there's no one down, there's no outdoor parties, all moved indoors. Same thing, didn't we give a shit? Thursday night we're down there doing a thing. Hey guys, catch us on Saturday at this indoor, Sunday doing this, whatever, blah blah blah, and people, it went on like that. Yeah. Then somehow the owners of the station decided to try and monetize our show. Now, at this point, they hadn't given us any contracts. We hadn't got any sponsorships like they had been promising us. We hadn't seen any revenue. We hadn't seen any of this stuff. But we had now gone through 3 station managers. And it was always the same thing. Guys, this and this and blah, 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 blah. We don't see behind the scenes. We turn up, do our show, have a bit of a chat, drink, blah, 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 whatever, and leave. Do our thing like that. So the summer season kicked off. And summer season, there's festivals. It was like every 2 weeks, and then it started to become like every week because of the popularity of it. So we were getting requests all the time, promoters, hey guys, please promote the show, please do this, let's do giveaways, so we just took off with this. We held DJ competitions where a DJ would come onto the show and do a guest mix, or they would, if they won the competition, they would open the stage of the festival, or we did like a whole bunch of stuff. Then at some point the owners became like trying to monetize it. Well, we've got this outside broadcasting van now. So if you want to promote a festival, the only way that you can promote it is if they give us the rights to do a broadcast from their festival. It's like, okay, you've got a broadcast. That won't be a bad idea. You're broadcasting live. People who can't go. You're at the festival. You've got 2 DJs from the radio station who are playing at this, blah, whatever. So it could work. It could absolutely work. Then it turned out that these owners had gone to the promoters and said, in order for this to work, you're going to have to pay us a ridiculous amount of money to do broadcasting from your festival.
Yeah.
They were like, no. So then they came to us, the owners of the station, were like, well, you can't promote that festival, you can't promote this festival, you can't promote that festival. It's like, what do you mean? These are the festivals we're playing at. Yeah, but we can't do outside broadcasting from them. It's like, well,
that's your business. Yeah,
it's got fuck all to do with us.
Yeah,
we're doing our show. You listen. You're not paying us. We're still waiting on this. So don't come and now try and, this isn't going to work out. And then it started to, I don't know, somehow you managed to get a few agreements, but I started to get some real pushback from promoters and other people going, listen, what's up with your fucking radio station? These guys are, I don't understand what's going on. Look, here's the email we received and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So then it started to affect the festivals that we were...
Yeah, and they also look at you differently because you work for the station.
So there was Synergy. I don't remember what year it was, maybe 2012. So the owners of the radio station decided to take their minibus, their outside broadcasting van, and they took one of the main mixers for the radio station. Because now they'd been paid a ridiculous amount of money to broadcast from Synergy, which is a commercial festival. It's not a Psytrance festival. So they took one of the main mixers or the main amps out of the studio. There was no station manager. Myself and my partner at the time, Brett, had to go in. We had the keys to open up. We had to switch things on, do this. And then within about 10 minutes of doing the show, because one of the big components they took out completely killed the show. It was just this massive feedback. We turned everything off, and it was something that completely... So we had to call them up. Yo, listen... You guys have left. There's no station manager. You've taken over. There's dead air right now. There's nothing. Turn on whatever. Listen, you'll see the radio station. It's not existing. We can't do anything. Oh, then they was like trying to get us to fix. Well, can you guys do this? And can you maybe do this? And can you... It's just like, do I look like I'm a fucking radio technician?
Yeah,
no.
Or an engineer.
I'm not an engineer. Like there's nothing we can do. Okay, well, letting you know right now that for the next weekend, you guys at the festival. There's dead.
No radio show.
Turned off the mixer, turned off everything, all the speakers, every single thing. And this stuff hadn't been turned off in years. Turned it all off, turned the lights off, walked out of there.
And that was the end.
No. So
that would have been a sweet story.
No,
and that's the end.
So check it. So we were very pissed off about this, know. And even the guys who came after us, they were like, "What the fuck?" So there was guys that had to do shows for the next 2 days, couldn't do any shows. Because these guys were at the festival getting money, but the whole time,
the radio station wasn't.
So then they called us in the next week for a meeting to talk about what was going on, and we were not happy. And then it turns out that they were going to move the radio show from the location to some other location. Then it was like, oh, guys, we're not going to do sponsorships. You're not going to get this. You're not going to get that. I was like, well, why the fuck are we here? We've been here, we're busting our ass. We're doing all this stuff.
For no money as well.
Yeah. So we had one show left to do, and the whole week had just been back and forth, and then the last show was on the Thursday afternoon. My friend called me and said, "Listen, after this week we've had, I don't care. Look, no one's going to give a shit anyway. You want to go do the show? Go. I'm not going."
Right.
So I called up the owner. I was like, "Listen, we're not coming in to do our last show, but I have emailed you a pre-mix we've done just with music. So if you can't fill the slot, there's 2 hours worth of music and Mother FM jingles and this and that and blah, 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 whatever.
Just press play.
Exactly, just push play. And he wasn't happy about that. So we walked away and that was the end of that.
All right.
And I was just like, it was a weird thing because there was two really good radio stations. I mean, Mother FM's still going now.
Yeah.
I haven't seen a Psytrance radio DJ that they've got on there, but I know that every single person that has gone on either after us has said the same thing.
Right.
They've like, after like a month or 2 months, like, what the hell is
what's
this?
going
This
on?
is not a...
This is not what we were promised.
No, it's not a radio show. And it was also... It was weird because then they was only doing internet streaming, and it wasn't about bandwidth anymore, and it wasn't about this. I was like, yeah, I'm out. I'm bouncing. See ya.
Fair enough.
And yeah, so that was my stints with the radio stations
In South Africa.
Well, yeah, and here also.
Here as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I loved it, man. I absolutely loved it. I loved
great,
sitting
isn't
on.
It? I mean, you've got a great energy, and when you talk, you bring that energy,
Thanks.
So it's I can see why it was successful, and also, I mean, in all honesty, I'm out of that scene completely. I mean, I'm in a different type of music scene, but everything I see, the stuff that you post and these and that, and it's always a good thing, and if you've got your market that you sell to, and these people love it, and you've had success with it, again, because of your personality, and because it's almost like your aura, that you bring to it, and there's the positivity and the like we bring this back around to the love. It shines through. People can see that, okay, this is not just, this guy isn't just doing a job, he's not just punching the numbers. This is something that, and you can feel that. If I can sort of bring this to my realm, you can see when somebody's competent and not wanting to be there, versus
Definitely.
somebody who's maybe still learning or this or that, but they've got a great energy and they bring that, and you can feel that. That it's like an eagerness, and it's just good vibes. So it makes all the difference in the world. Let's just call it from baking to making music. It's fucking, it's about the love.
Do you know? I've always, no matter what I do, if I like something, I'm gonna do it 100%.
There's no other way.
I don't half-ass stuff like that. I try my hardest until either there's no point anymore, or I realize, you should just move on to something else.
Yeah.
That's also happened with like what we're doing right now. I loved, interaction and talking to people. If you talk to someone and not talk at them, you can always learn.
100%.
And you can always chat and you can always discuss. When you are in our industry, whether I'm a DJ and a producer and you're a sound engineer, there's always egos that you have to deal with.
This is what I said to you before. It's the
the arrogance or whatever that
it's
you're
the
talking
arrogance.
about. Yeah.
It's just I was making coffee this morning. Was it this morning? And it's just like, it was this epiphany, and I'm like, the biggest problem with the world today is just arrogance, individual arrogance. And like you said, if you take the time to listen to somebody, right, even somebody that you don't like or don't agree with, let's just call it that. Maybe you've got two differing points of view.
Yeah,
let's
two
call
opinions.
Yeah, Tory and Labour, whatever.
No, let's not talk about. Let's not.
No,
use
I'm
the
just
UK.
okay.
Yeah.
Let's any subject.
Tomato.
Let's do that, right? But if you have the discussion with somebody, and you don't, like you said, don't talk at someone, and you take the time to listen to what they have to say, you'll probably find that about 95% of the things you do agree on.
Yes.
And then there's just that little 5% difference. You're like, you know what? This thing is small enough to not be such a big thing. We can. I mean, I've got plenty of friends with whom I don't agree with about everything they say and they do, clearly. And I'm sure that they're, all of my friends don't agree with everything I say and do.
Yeah.
But we're still friends, right? You can love someone and you can be with someone and agree or have a friendship, a relationship with someone and not agree with them on everything.
Yes.
Because there are 8 billion of us and we're all fucking individuals.
But think how boring every single thing would be
if we all agreed. Oh, 100%. Yeah.
What would you talk about?
How much you
What
agree?
would you talk about?
Oh, it's a lovely day today.
Yes,
Yes, it is a lovely day today.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, the sun is shining. Yeah, I see the sun is shining.
Yeah. I find with that, arrogance comes with a fear of failure. Now, I'm not scared to be told that what I'm doing is wrong. If I don't know the right way for something, I'm going to ask. I do. I've always, since a kid, I ask. And if I still don't understand, I'm going to ask again.
Yes.
I'm not that person because I hate it. I hate it when you don't know something, you pretend that you do, but then because you're arrogant or it has to do with your ego, you don't ask for help to be helped in the situation, and then that also can create some tension or misunderstandings or whatever it is like that. If you give something your all and you fail the first time around, so fucking
exactly.
what?
This is how we learn.
How do you learn? How do you grow if you don't fail? If you do everything right the whole time, then you're going to become an arrogant prick because you think that no matter what you do, you can't do anything wrong.
Or you're never going to venture out and try new things. You're going to be so limited because, I know how to do these things. I'm going to stay in my little bubble and I'm just going to be the champion.
Yeah.
Rather than, I'm trying something else and I'm going to fail 2, 3, 4, 5 times. But when you do achieve victory, it's so much sweeter.
Yeah.
It's just...
let's say, for example, DJing. When I started DJing, I had no idea what I was doing. I was learning from people who had no idea, and we were just messing about in my friend's bedroom with 200 vinyls, mom not home, we're not working, and literally just don't know what BPMs, don't know how, and we just learned from that. And then I left there, went to America, and I was like, yeah, I can DJ, and then we did a party where I was just with some friends, completely messed it up, didn't know what was going on, and then I was like, okay, and then I learned a little bit more, and then everything that happens, and you start to do things, and the more you fail, the more funny it becomes, because then when you don't fail anymore, you've already put in all the work. It's something that's exciting for you, and when you figure out how to do something, I always try to be better at doing that. Like with the DJing, I took I think about 5 years, and every single day I got home from work, turned my amp on, turned my speakers on, turned the music on, and I smoked spliffs, and I just stayed in there, music fucking loud, just going, learning, doing this, go to a club, watch what those DJs are doing in the club. Yes, all my friends are dancing, partying, and they're like, "You being weird, man," because I'm just standing there and I'm just watching, I'm just trying to see what he's doing, going home, oh, is that, and then putting that to practice, failing, and doing that, and then eventually when I figured stuff out, it's like the greatest feeling of accomplishment when you do something, or you do something so well people don't even realize what you're doing, and then I don't take any of that stuff for granted, because the feeling for me, stepping up in front of thousands of people and playing your stuff and seeing their reaction to your stuff, it's second to none.
Oh, there's nothing
second to
like
none.
It.
You
There's
can't.
Absolutely nothing like it.
It's hard to describe to people. The last gig I played when I got married was Origin in Cape Town. It's the biggest psytrance festival now. I played on the Friday night. Now, sometimes when there are people doing festivals, it gets divided into 3 days. So Friday people turn up. So Friday night you're going to have a really good lineup, but then Saturday night you're going to have kind of your main people, and then Sunday you're going to have your main people. But at this particular festival, on Friday night they only have the main dance floor open, so the other dance it's not open. And this festival, over the last 4 years, by the time the gates open on Friday afternoon, it's sold out. Right. So people don't wait and come on Saturday. Friday afternoon, they get there. So when I stepped up to play just after the wedding, everyone that was at that festival was on that dance floor. We're talking, as I've never seen a crowd of people that big as far back as I looked. And my wife came up on stage just to bring me a shot. And as soon as she got up on stage and she saw the people, she just, oh my God, I can't be there. She was like kind of like shaking, and then she got off there.
Shell-shocked.
Yeah, she was shell shocked. And when I got off after there, the buzz, like you are so high off adrenaline, and it's like that energy of the dance was being directed at you. You know, if someone's having a great time or whatever, like their energy, whatever they're putting out, times by 10,000 is actually coming at you.
Yeah.
So when you get off there, you're so pumped. You're just like, it always takes me like an hour. Whenever I get off stage, I've got to, guys, just chill for a bit. I've got to walk off somewhere, have a shot of something, maybe smoke a spliff, drink a beer a little bit, and I always don't talk to anyone for like 45 minutes, whatever. And then after that, I can kind of, heart rate slows down a little bit, and I'm like, okay, cool, now we're back to normal. And you can't describe that feeling for someone. And for me, that's why I never take the piss with that. Because every time I get up there, I was like, this could be the last time. So I give it my all. And that's what going back also to like the radio shows and stuff that I did. Gave it my all, you know, all the time. And then if people, I find, so I also try to tie this arrogant thing in here. Sometimes people will attach themselves to what you're doing, and then they will take things as their own. And then arrogance might come into a part of it, and then something that starts really good falls apart very, very quickly because arrogance, stuff like that, things fall apart.
Yeah, but there's also, you know, the problem with something like that is complacency. You know, don't ever get used to the position where you are, because within the blink of an eye, you could get knocked down from where you were. Something can happen, this or that, you know, and the majority of the times, well, you know, let's say 50-50. These things aren't of your own making. You know, things that are out of your control can happen, and you're just not there anymore. So don't ever take anything for granted. And enjoy the fucking ride, man. You know, this is the whole point of life. You know, you can say whatever you want to say about this life and the afterlife or whatever. Everybody's got a different view, and everybody's got a... But the fact is, we're here now. We got to enjoy the ride whilst we're on it. There's no point in fucking, oh, remember that good fucking ride we had yesterday? Yeah, well, that's also good, right, to have the good memories and the pretty pictures to take with you. But who knows what tomorrow brings?
No
Enjoy
one expected
the
what's happening right now.
Enjoy the ride whilst you're on it. Make the best of what you got from the situation, because there's no point in fucking bitching and moaning about it either.
Nope.
Right? Because all you're going to do is you're just going to bring negativity into your thought process. You know, like, say you've got 100 points of bandwidth in your head, okay, and you use 30 of those points on negative shit. You've only got 70 points left for the things that you enjoy and the positive things. Now something else happens, and that diminishes even more. Plus you've got, you know, so many hours of sleeping. Just try and minimize those things as much as you can, and keep it as positive as you can. And just, you know, just like I said, just enjoy the fucking ride, because, you know, you're only here once.
The complacency that you're talking about, I came across that with the project that I was doing. You know, the music project, we traveled, we played in India, in Goa, we played in Italy, we've played in Germany, we've played in Brazil, in South Africa, you know, all over here. There's been lots of places where we've taken our project to, and my partner who I was writing music with up until recently, it was also, he got complacent because, you know, I told you when I met him, his ear for music is very unique. Unique means individual. So he has this weird ear for music that when him and I started working together, we combined his talent of sort of writing stuff and my talent for grinding shit out. You know, like, okay, I've got to EQ this, I've got to compare, I've got to do also all of that type of stuff. I didn't mind doing that because at the end of the day, I was learning from it. I was learning how to use frequencies correctly, how to space things correctly, you know, stuff like this, harmonics. And I started to learn all the stuff that I never knew before. But he started to get complacent because he would think that he was intellectually above me because he came in, put his ideas down, and then left, and I did all the grinding work.
Right.
So
he was the artist, and you were the
and
worker.
I was the producer or whatever the fuck. But we were actually working together. But I organized all the gigs, organized all the releases. I got assigned to labels. I did all the promo. I did almost everything. And all he did was sit down and, you know, write melodies and stuff like this. And then I would still have to go and do things and blah, blah, blah. And after a few years, we actually had some success. And we could have, if we had sat down and really pulled our stuff together, we could have progressed into something really, really good, because that's the trajectory we're heading on. We had also other labels looking at us. We were in communication with a lot of artists, people wanting to write music with us and stuff like that. And then just, I think it was like a year and a bit ago, I rebuilt our studio, because it was kind of small. We were writing good music, but we needed the space. We had some other people coming to work with us. So a friend of mine would bring his guitar, and I would record his guitar, and, you know, add that into the trance and stuff. And then just one day he was like, "Yeah, I'm not going to do this with you anymore." And I asked him, I was like, "Well, why not?" So, "God, you're demanding a bit too much of me." And I was like, "Okay." I said, "Okay, you know,
regardless of me doing all the work,
expand a bit." So I asked you on like a Monday, a Wednesday, and a Saturday for like 2 hours on a Monday, 2 hours on a Wednesday, 4 hours on a Saturday morning that, you know, you couldn't give while I'm spending the rest of the time doing that. I was like, okay, so if you think it's asking too much, then, you know, you step away and I'll do my thing. So I was a little bit bummed at the time, because like, oh man, we started this project together. I had all these trajectories planned and all these visions, and it put a huge crushing stop on what we were doing. And then I had to like say to myself, okay, well, what the hell am I going to move forward? I didn't cry, I didn't panic. I was like, okay, well, I've studied, I've done this, I know what I'm doing. Started working on my own projects. And I found that when I started working on my own stuff, for some reason, I'm way more happier. Doing what I want to do.
It's that
creativity, man.
It's realizing your creativity.
Yeah, but not only that, though, it got to a point where writing music wasn't fun. And now it's fun again, because it's like, oh my God, you know, doing these things. And I moved to a point where my solo project is almost done. I think it's about maybe 3-4 months away from completion. And I'm working on tracks with some people from really big labels. A friend of mine who's very famous producer, him and I are going to work on something together. I got a few collabs here and there, but I've written 5 tracks on my own.
Nice. And
they've all turned out.
I remember you played me one the other day when I came around. It was like the first one on the project.
Yeah.
And sounded great, man. Yeah, it's fantastic. And again, you can taste the love. You can feel the love. You can hear it. You put your soul into it rather than crunching the numbers.
Yeah.
They're doing the grind work. You can feel you in the music. You can, like when I'm listening back to it, you just, that there's a presence there. It's not empty horseshit.
It's not sounding like someone else. Now, I think this was also a bit of a hurdle I had with my friend who was writing music. He is trying to reinvent the wheel of writing dance music. And I said to him, there's no point trying to reinvent this wheel, okay? Because
it's been around for a long time.
What we have to try and do is isolate our particular sound and build from that. Because in all of this, in this whole genre, let's say that there's 1,000 projects. Out of those 1,000 projects, you can probably pick 20 that stand out, and all 80 of those, or like all whatever 980 projects sound like every one of those projects that you've singled out. Those people haven't tried to reinvent the wheel. They've said, "Ooh, I like how that guy's did his drop. I like how that guy's edited his vocals. I like the spatialness of the riser that he's brought in." And you get these top artists who appreciate what other people are doing, and they're listening to what and they're learning from that. So when I started to say also to my friend, like, listen, these people that I know have all said, find someone that you like, listen to how they've
get the inspiration.
how they brought their project forward, what they've had to say. If you like what you, then use the information that you've got. Obviously, don't copy it.
Yeah.
But it helps. Eventually, it helps your understanding of how that person reached point B by going through here and going through here. And my friend was like, "No, man, we don't do that. We're going to do our own thing at our own time." And I proved the point to him. I was trying to get us signed by this top label, so I'd based a track that we'd written off the structure of one of these top guys on that label, just the structure, no sounds, anything, like literally just like, okay, so he started over here at this point, he introduced that and in for this, and so he transitioned from here. Okay, so we get that. So we just used
the flow, right?
Yeah, just the structure. That's all. Nothing else from him. And we then, with the shell of what we did, we constructed our own track.
Yes.
And when I sent this to the label guy, he was like, "Oh my god, this is really fucking good. Okay, so maybe what you should work on is this and this, and then maybe try and fix that."
Yeah.
And he was in the room with me when I had this phone conversation with the head of this label. And I said to him, "Do you understand what I'm trying to portray to you now?" And when I asked him, "Look, is this a problem?" He said, "No. This guy," and one of the talkers, he's taken this and he's used this,
of course,
because it's inspiration. If we aren't there to learn from each other, then what's the point?"
Yeah, man. And build on what is already there.
Yeah, because you and I can sit and talk, and we have these ideas, but if there's no structure, if we don't know how we do it, we're going to just put this whole thing, and everyone's going to be like, "Oh yes, there's definitely something here," but then it's going to be confusing because we don't know how to start, progress, end, and sign off like that.
I get you.
So arrogance, like what you were saying earlier on, has a huge part to play in like what you're talking about.
I think it's probably the single individual biggest fucking problem is arrogance, because it can translate into absolutely anything, be it religious views, be it political views, be it an argument over a tomato.
Yes.
Right? Any single interaction or even group interaction, obviously in a group that arrogance is amplified, because if you've got a group of arrogant cunts together, then obviously it's just going to be multiplied to however many, and they're going to feed off each other. But if people can just a bit of humility.
Whenever I've been out with friends or in a bar and there's been a group of arrogant cunts, I go home.
Just stay away.
I'm like, I'm leaving them out of here.
Because also, I'm not saying humility to the point where you're gonna fucking lick someone's boot heel, right? Obviously, you're gonna defend yourself and you're gonna, but remove yourself from the situation before it happens, right? Obviously, there are things that are out of your control and out of your, and then you can defend yourself there. But again, with a sense of humility and with calm. I mean, I'm guilty of that. I'm not
we all are.
One who can always stay calm. That's the truth. I get rallied up, but like you said, that's the best way to do it. Remove yourself from the situation before there's a situation. That's the best thing.
One thing I do think though is in some situations, confidence can be mistaken for arrogance. And that depends obviously on your delivery. Because if you're confident in the results, but you deliver it like a prick, people are going to think you're arrogant.
Not what you say, it's how you say it.
Yes, in what you're doing. So you have to kind of be careful to not mistake confidence or arrogance for confidence.
But if you're humble and confident, right, they will be immediately there. You can be both of those things. Okay, you can be humbly confident, knowing that you know what you're talking about, right?
Yeah,
then there's no need to get upset. There's no need to shout. There's no need for all these things. Maybe yes, you can raise your voice to try and level, but again, there's it's just
but if you, like you're saying, if you're humble and you're confident, you won't get upset with people's opposing point of view because you'll bring your point of view across.
You're just like, you know what? This is your opinion. This is my opinion. We can have two differing opinions. Here are the facts that I bring. Here are these things, and you can shout and scream all you want. It's not going to change the facts. I mean, the thing that I always refer back to is, in terms of confidence, when I played rugby all through school, I played rugby, and very often I was captain, and my dad was my coach in school, and also my personal coach. And he was also, he had a long career of playing rugby to a high standard. And he always said, if you walk up for the coin toss, right, and this opposing captain doesn't matter how big or how small this guy is, and he's like,
he looks mean,
and he's frothing at the mouth, and he's like, man, we're gonna fucking run over these guys today. This is gonna be an easy victory. But if this guy walks up to you and he's calm, shoulders back,
composed,
shakes your hand, is like, let's have a good game, with a smile on his face, you're like, man, we are gonna
have some problems
up a hill today. And that's that's the truth. You don't need to get this whole thing going if you know what you're doing. If you know, you can just be like, oh no, this is my thing. I don't need to fucking get all funky about it. This is my thing. I know how to do it. I'll just show you. I don't need to shout it from the rooftops. I'll show you.
So can I change direction?
Let's do it
a little bit.
Yeah,
before we cut this off, because I know my wife would be a little bit wanting to.
Yeah, we should probably start.
Go home and have some capsules, hey?
Yeah, I think I might have to go to the hospital. This thing is getting fucking swollen. I don't know if there's still something stuck in there.
Could be.
Because you can see it's.
Oh, bro, there's definitely
it's swollen. And,
that's infected.
Yeah.
Careful when you go, though.
No.
You could come back infected even more.
Yes, mate.
What I wanted to talk to you about, because obviously we are doing this podcast in the most insane time
in the world
that I've ever lived through.
Yes. Well, that anybody's ever lived through.
Yeah, and the reason I say also, I brought up the hotel earlier because there was terrorist attack here, and I was in a place where that happened, and that was pretty insane.
Mm-hmm.
But this is next level.
Oh, it's insane.
This is next level. So, also what I wanted to talk to you about today, which I'm pretty sure you'd have the exact same, you would have experienced the same, is the fact that these days you can get into trouble for having an opinion on social media.
100%. 100%.
And it's not only now that you're going to get into trouble from the organizers of the platform, but every single person that is on your friends list. Mm-hmm. Some people who are even
on their friends list.
Yes.
Because they'll comment, and then that appears on their friends, and all of a sudden you've got the whole world against you.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I've been talking about this quite a lot. And I've had this argument with the group chat we have with the engineers.
You also on a WhatsApp group chat with people like that you work with that have been affected and stuff like that.
But the thing is just because I am of a different opinion to very many things that are not just socially accepted, but that are accepted to be the norm and the truth, and I'm always one who has a little look behind something and try and understand what's going on.
Because you want to understand for yourself what is going on.
Yeah,
yes.
I want to know. I mean, years ago, I used to, pass along information as much as I can. I tried to tell people, look at this, see this, and the amount of sort of hate I got from that was it completely took me away from that. I'm like, you know what? I've tried to tell people to just look at this and look at that. And just think about something different than the thing that you're being told.
That you're being shown and forced to think about.
Yes. That's every 5 minutes. Stay home. Stay alert. Protect the NHS. Stay, and anyway, so sorry, long story short, every time something happens about, somebody was arrested for sitting on a park bench, these fuckwits and these stupid cunts, and they're going to kill everyone. I'm like, whoa, can we just stop with the hate? Just a little bit, okay? Did this person come into your house and cough on you? No, they did not. Did this person in any single way affect your life? No, they didn't. Okay? Can you just stop with the hate and understand that maybe this person lives in a one-bedroom flat on the 17th floor of a fucking building by themselves, okay? They don't have a backyard like you do. It's funny, all this hate comes from the sort of upper middle class, people who've got a fucking yard and 2 cars and a cat and a dog and whatever, right? They're like, oh, we're so superior, we can call everybody a cunt and a fuckwit, right? And I just said, hold on a second. If you can just for a second imagine to yourself, sitting by yourself for 5-6 weeks in a fucking flat, try and imagine what that's like.
And you can't see anyone, you can't talk to anyone, you can't go to work.
Try and imagine what that's like. And then you talk to me about fuckwits and these and those.
Yeah.
Okay? Going outside, getting some vitamin D is a good thing. Always. And how can you expand this thing, right? By going and sitting on a fucking bench in the sun by yourself, 20 meters away from everybody else. The only person that comes near you is that fuckwit policeman who comes to arrest you for sitting on a park bench by yourself. This is the thing that really enrages me. Like, just calm the fuck down with all this hate and just understand that there are other people in this world who are in a different situation than you are.
Very different situation.
Okay? If people can just understand that for a second, this world would be a better place.
You know, you remember that video I sent you that got taken down?
Yeah,
caused a massive outrage on Facebook.
Oh, I watched it in the end. Somebody had sent me the actual video because it was, yes. Talk to me. For
a very, very long time, you and I, we're on the same thinking.
Yes.
We like to look behind the veil. I know for a fact the reason why my thinking has kind of changed is because I've always seen things different, but from going to festivals, from experience things, expanding the mind, you change how you see things. For the longest time, I've looked into conspiracy theories. I've looked into things on the opposite end of what I'm being told, because there's always 2 sides to the story. So somewhere that should be in the middle. It's often not. It's always skewed left or right, but it's very seldom it's in the middle. So before I make any choice, I try and look at as much information as I can about any one subject.
Yes.
And if I find that a lot of the information I'm getting contains the same words, then sometimes I figure that those sources haven't done the research they need to do and they're just spouting what they've heard. Or that's actually the truth of what they're saying, because different sources are reporting the similar thing, not using the same source material. But when Facebook kind of came around, like the whole 2012 thing and blah, 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 I started to notice that there is a lot of crazy people on the internet. Anybody with a phone can have an opinion, voice their opinion, and they might say words that trigger you or resonate with you, and then you think they're right, and then it's just how things work. It becomes very hard when you try to disseminate the bullshit from the truth.
Yes.
But that's what being a person's about, though, because if you're a free thinker, yes, you should be able to disseminate what's right and what's wrong. If you're having trouble, then speak to people about trying to figure this stuff out.
Of the similar opinion and of opposing opinion.
Yeah.
You got to have both sides.
You have to have both sides, because if you don't have both sides, you're biased. You're biased, yes. Now, what I've found with this COVID-19 that's happened, you and I are in the exact same situation as thousands of other friends out there, being in the live events industry, lighting engineers, sound engineers, project managers, people that I know that had permanent jobs in production companies. They've been furloughed. They're off. Everyone that I know got no work. What I thought this would do would bring people together to discuss what the fuck is actually going on, because we don't know. I know my father-in-law and my brother-in-law are on the front lines in New York and in Connecticut, where they're the most affected areas in America. And I get information from them on a day-to-day basis about what they see, their professional opinions, and how they see how things are going. So any information I want to take about COVID-19, I'm taking from people these professionals who are there every single day. They work with these people. They see these things. I'm getting my information from them. Not once have I said, this is real, blah, blah, blah. No. because I also know a very good friend of mine's uncle died from this.
You know, Joey had it. Joey Soden.
Really?
Yeah.
I actually spoke to him the other day. It sounds about right that he would have had it.
Yeah, he posted. This is way in the beginning.
But he's back at work though. How, if you had it, surely you shouldn't be working. He was doing landscaping, whatever he's doing. So if you've had it, you should be at home resting.
No, this is like 6 weeks ago, mate.
Yes, I spoke to him 2 weeks ago.
He must have recovered.
Stuff like that.
He must have recovered. As do 99.9% of people who get it.
Yeah, but what I was so now we understand this. So now we know someone, we know people who've been affected by this. It's a very real thing. No matter how overblown they've made this and what we've been thrown in our face on TV and in the newspapers and stuff, this has to be real.
We in this house have had it.
Yeah. So
before, it's not official. We weren't tested, but
you know
mate, all the symptoms were there. I think I'm not going to be, arrogant about it.
Yeah.
But I think that maybe I might be immune to it because
How long have you been in lockdown now?
My wife and daughter have had it. 6 weeks since the beginning
Still alive,
of the.
No ventilators, not been taken to hospital.
No, but let me tell you how this was in January, right? In December they had both of them bronchitis. December. January, well, what was classed as bronchitis? Fever, coughing, tight chest.
Respiratory.
Yes, right. And then in January, again, but it was very short-lived, and asthma attacks, which neither of them have had in forever. Just very sudden. I started feeling a bit shit, right? I'm like, oh, obviously this is going to happen. We share the same air. Had a cold shower, and the next day I was fine. And I haven't been affected in any other way. I don't know whether this was what it was or whether it isn't, but I mean, it was very similar. And yeah,
last year, December, my friend's, my housemate, now his mom comes to Europe once a year because she does miniature model making. She's fantastic at what she does. Miniatures, like, man, I can't even tell the details she goes into. She's
I'd like to check her out because I'm into like doll's house furniture and shit like that.
So they do, once they travel around the world, they do these shows, they set up their stalls, they make, it's insane the work that they do. So for the last 3 years they've been coming to London. When they come and stay at our house. We stay close to the airport, we've got a spare room, so it's no problem.
Perfect.
So when they came in December, my friend's mother's friend, she came from Portugal. She was also staying with us. She was so sick. She had a fever. She was coughing. At night, we thought that she was going to die because she was actually coughing so she couldn't breathe. She had to wake herself up. And she had coughed so much, she started coughing up blood because she had tore her esophagus or larynx or whatever you want to call it. So they took her to hospital because we even said to her, like, listen, we think you're going to die. Like, you should go and have yourself checked out.
Please die in the hospital, not here.
Yeah, so
I don't want to have to fucking carry you out.
They checked her out. Gave her antibiotics. Said, no, whatever, it's probably just this. And she was sick for 3 weeks while she was with us. Then my friend's mom got sick. Then we got sick. And then they left. My wife went back to America to her dad. She was sick for like 3 weeks, and she was also like, what the hell? I've had this like flu and I can't shake it. So we also like. Well, I
heard yesterday on the radio that over a quarter of the UK population has had it by their estimates.
Yeah. So us healthy people are kind of okay in a way.
I mean, quarantine, 40 days of isolation for the sick. Comes from the Black Plague, not 7 weeks of isolating
lockdown.
Healthy people, lowering their immune systems by having them stay away from everybody else, zero contact with everybody else. All your bacteria and your flora goes down because you don't have that everyday experience.
You're not being exposed
riding
to
riding the fucking tube. Going on the motorway, doing this, doing that.
Look,
Hopefully the insanity will die down soon, and hopefully some of the shit, the bullshit will get washed away, and it will only have facts remaining. I doubt that very much, but
not for a second. Or are you and I saying that this isn't a real thing?
Never.
None of us are saying that.
No.
So, bringing me back to our earlier conversation, you and I talk about how we put things out for people to look at. Watch it, don't watch it, but you have a choice, free choice. Either watch it, don't watch it. If you watch it, you might see something that might open your eyes a little bit, or you might watch it and think this is complete garbage and whatever. But that's your choice to make, as well as it's my choice to put up a video that I think is either good for me or is good for someone else that I know, maybe my gran or friends.
If it's
whatever.
1 out of 1,000,
yes,
I'm fucking winning.
I am not putting up anything, and I haven't put up anything regarding what's going on.
No.
Because
I don't.
Bringing us back to this whole Facebooking, the video that we talked about. So what you and I were talking about was that video I sent you that link was taken down within
minutes.
Minutes.
No, it was minutes.
Yeah.
It was minutes.
When I saw that video, right, what resonated with me was the fact that this woman was offering an alternative opinion. She never said that this thing isn't real. She never said she's anti-vax. She never said any of this stuff that people have turned this whole thing into,
Didn't she actually say that she was... Oh, no, this is a different person who was actually a vaccine manufacturer who came out 5 weeks ago.
She also did work in a virology lab or something.
That is her, yeah.
It probably is her.
Yeah.
So now, the thing that everyone was focusing on is that she's a discredited scientist. Okay? Now, I don't know much about what she has and hasn't done, but one of the things that they brought forward was the reason that she was discredited is because no one could replicate her results that she found, which makes her findings null and void, because unless you can replicate it, you can't prove that it ever happened. 100%. So, people are focusing on that, saying she's a disgraced scientist. Okay, I get it. So what? Someone made a mistake. Fine. That's not the point of the video. The point in that video was that the way that these things are being handled is not the correct way. And that people should be encouraged to ask their doctors what's in your vaccine.
Yes.
She never once said, I'm an anti-vaxxer. No. She said, I'm pro-safe vaccines. Now, my father-in-law, as a doctor, he has also said the same thing. He's not an anti-vaxxer at all. He's a doctor. They have to have their vaccines and do their thing. But he even said that what's troubling to him is that a 5-month-old child, in the space of a few weeks, is having up to 30 vaccines.
I know, it's insane, mate.
How can a 2-month-old child whose immune system has not progressed
until
at
6
all
months
be now given 30 vaccines for this whatever the fuck, and you've got a kid. So what she was saying is, why do you people not ask your doctors what's in the vaccine?
Just ask the questions, man.
That's what this whole video was about, that the people in charge are not telling you everything. You should ask. Definitely, it's your body. You have the right to choose what to do.
I mean, and they're required by law. If you ask the question, they have to hand it over to you. If they don't want to, then obviously alarm bells will ring and you'll be like, wait.
Yeah.
Okay? But the thing is, people don't ask the questions. They're just
too scared to ask the questions now.
It's not just that. They're just, let the doctors do their thing. They know what they're doing. We trust in them 100%. And unfortunately, I've led the life that I have, where I was an experiment. I was experimented on for 3 years by the top hemoglobin doctor in South Africa, because I had a rare blood ailment that 1 in 10,000 people has the potential to get. Right? I'm the only person of everybody I met and knew in that 3 years that is still alive after all this.
Well, that's good news.
It's great news.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, but we went away from this doctor because he kept experimenting on me. It was horrible. It was really bad. You know, it got to, I took 37 pills every morning, right? 30 of those were cortisone pills, 5 milligram cortisone pills. I'd swollen up so much that I couldn't sit down because I would suffocate. Like I had to lie down or stand up. Otherwise, the water retention and the fat would press against my lungs that I couldn't breathe. I got, as a 14-year-old boy, osteoporosis where my bones were crumbling. My backbone was crumbling from all these drugs I had to take. I had to then take, because of all the water retention of the cortisone, I had to take water pills to help me, get rid of some of this excess water. That lowered my blood pressure so I would just fucking pass out, right? For that I had to take something else, and then I had to take something else. And I was at the point where I was like, I'm not doing this anymore, right? I need to find something else. 3 years of this is enough, okay?
It's almost like torture.
Being packed literally in pillows, because if you touch me like that, I would have a sack of blood hanging off me the next day. My blood wouldn't clot, okay? And this, I just said, this is not the life. This is not the life to live, and I'm not going to live it anymore. Either we find an alternative, or I'm checking out. I'm done with this, right? Then we went to another doctor, which we went to see once before. I didn't like the vibe because he was talking about having to get my spleen taken out. And I don't know why. I was scared. I was a fucking little boy. I was already in a difficult situation. And then to be, this other professor, doctor, who's the top one in South Africa, kept saying, oh no, we're going to do this, and he was very calming, and he was like, and this other guy was just like matter of fact. He's like, this is what we need to do, and this is what's going to solve it. Anyway, we got to that point. I went to see him the Friday afternoon. He checked me out. He's like, same diagnosis as before. I'll have you in on Monday. I'll cut out your spleen. By Friday, you get to leave the hospital, and guaranteed, a week later, you will be on the track to recovery. And as he predicted, as he said, a week later, my blood counts were so high that they were higher than a normal person's, right, in terms of platelets.
Yeah.
Because it's normal person, you and I, well, you and everybody else, has between 150,000 and 450,000 platelets per 100 ml of blood. Okay, mine got down to, I think, 950 at one stage, which is the point where you can't brush your teeth because your gums would start bleeding, things like that. And then, as he said, a week after after I got discharged, it went up to 400. Another week later, because I had to have my blood drawn every week as well.
They can monitor you.
Yeah. And then it went up to like 1 million. It's just like, whoa, hold on. And obviously my body was adjusting and everything, and now it's normal. Now it's regular.
Yeah.
But after that, I was supposed to be getting this pneumonia vaccine every 2 years because I'm more susceptible to illness, because your spleen is a major part of your immune system, right? I had to get this Pneumovax, it was called, every 2 years. And as a result of that, I was in the hospital with something or other at least 2 or 3 times a year, right? All the way through high school. And as I said to you in the kitchen before, the last one I got, the second last one I got before I left school, I was 17. I ended up being rushed to the hospital from my hometown, Nailstrom, to Pretoria in an ambulance because I'd contracted meningitis, right? I kept passing out. I think it was like 2 days that I can't remember. You understand? They did a lumbar punch on me in the ambulance on the way to the hospital. And as if somebody doesn't know what a lumbar punch is, and luckily that was the last one I ever had, but it wasn't the first one. They take a needle, it's about yay thick, right? And they screw it into the base of your spine, and they draw bone marrow fluid. Yeah,
spinal fluid.
Spinal fluid. Or they call it a spinal tap in America. other places. Anyway, so this is a painful procedure because they can't anesthetize you because it affects the count. So this is a real live thing that they do in time, and it hurts like a motherfucker. I can tell you that.
Yeah, my niece has had one, and she's
right. It's not fun. And I didn't even feel that because of the fucking headaches and the migraines and stuff. So when I got it one more time before I went to America, 2002, right? Again, constantly something going on. Luckily, at that stage, I wasn't sick. It was summer season. Everything was good. I was working too hard to even notice if I was sick. Then when I came to England, I made the decision that I'm going to try and not have this thing. See what's going on. See what's happening. Right? And ever since then, I stopped having this. And I've been healthy as a horse.
Because you looked elsewhere.
Healthy as a horse, mate. I had the swine flu, which rightly was supposed to fucking kill me. But no, I was out in Trafalgar Square for 5 days, working 16 hours a day, with the fucking swine flu. Right? That was supposed to have killed me. But I lived a different life then, when I was, like you said, I looked elsewhere.
Yeah.
So, when I speak to people and they're like, "Oh, you're an anti-vaxxer, you're all these sorts of things," I'm like, again, I'm not just going by the research that I've done, and I'm not against vaccines. Okay, I'm probably going to have to get a fucking tetanus shot for this thing, because I haven't had one in 15 years.
Yeah.
I'm not against these things in any way. Okay, all I'm saying is, can we try and look at these things a bit more logically, and not just what is Big Pharma looking to make?
Which is what that woman on that video said.
Yeah.
That's what she was talking about.
Yeah.
And so, which you and I talk about the same thing. You've looked elsewhere. I managed to find a video that's of an alternative source just offering an opinion. That filmmaker had opinion. Whether he wanted everyone to believe that opinion or not, it was his take on a video that he did with people's opinions, an alternative view. Neither you or I realized how people would react to alternative information. Like on this video, when I posted that video, like I sent it to you in a private message.
Yes.
I said that video to a lot of people in a private message, but on my Facebook, I said something like, I came across this video, it was a very interesting watch. I didn't say you guys should really watch this, but this is the...
You're just expressing your opinion.
Yes, it was literally my opinion. I didn't say that. Within about 15 minutes of putting that video, I ended up in not even a Facebook wall, but like a wall, like a Facebook, like a battle. And I haven't been in one of those in a long, long time. I didn't put this up, let's see who I control.
I don't engage in
but
those.
The worst thing was, though, right, that all of these people that I got into a Facebook battle with over this video are people that I know. Friends of mine, acquaintances of mine.
And then they think that they have the right to call you things.
Yeah, but not one of them watched that video. And they all battled with me on Facebook. And I kept on asking them.
No, they're like children.
I kept on asking them. I said, have you guys watched that video? No, we haven't. Why haven't you watched the video? I don't give a fuck. I don't care about this. Blah, 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 blah. And then it turned into this guy I know calling me an anti-vaxxer. And I said to him, how the fuck did you get anti-vax?
This from that.
You haven't watched that video. I've never said anything about this. What I've told you is to watch this video before let's talk. And then he was accusing me of being one of the people who hurt his loved ones, who are all of this. And I asked him, I said, do you know anyone who's been affected from this virus personally, or do you know any doctors personally that you've spoken to that are giving you any information on this?
Apart from what you hear on the news.
He never answered that question. Instead, he gave me an article about from the New York Times. And then he started giving me like other bullshit articles. Still not watching it. Still never answered the question if he knows anyone affected by this or loved ones or doctors or whatever. So the answer is no. And then I started just looking at other people's posts, and all of a sudden Facebook went absolutely nuts. And then I came across a video today that happened on the 30th of April where Mark Zuckerberg was called in front of Senate. Again, remember last year it was because they'd been giving away our data to Cambridge Analytica or whatever like that. So they called him in 2 weeks ago on the 30th of April to have him explain what gives Facebook the right to pull down your post and censor free speech, basically censor the internet. Now, for anybody who doesn't know, basically any information contrary to what
the official news,
Bill Gates,
not
even the official news, to what
Bill
Gates
and the WHO
and Facebook and the WHO put out, any news contrary to that or that contradicts that is taken down and censored. I've had 2 of my posts. I got a warning from Facebook the other day, and I was like, "How the fuck is this a warning? This is not a video. This is not." Or it was because that video got taken down, and you got a message from Facebook saying this is. So the Senate asked him, "Do you, Mr. Zuckerberg, 100%? Can you 100% say that vaccines don't cause damage?" And it was a long pause. No, well, I don't think anyone can be 100% sure. To which the senator, a senator, not a fucking reporter, a senator said to him, "Are you aware, Mr. Zuckerberg, that the Americans paid out $4 billion in that relief fund because of vaccine-related injuries?" So in America, they've paid out $4 billion in damages from vaccines.
And those are the ones that get reported.
Those are the ones that get reported, they understand. So now it's not a question of anti-vaccine. It's a question of knowing safely what's being put in your body.
Yeah,
that's the question.
I think the biggest issue is the censoring. Okay?
Yeah.
You have your own opinion. There are 8 billion different opinions on this planet. And you can't say, "No, I don't agree with you, so you're gone."
Especially if I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Yeah.
Like but like your friends, like you and I are talking about
don't
whatever.
know if this is probably going to get censored because we're talking about it. But
no, but so let's say, do I agree with social distancing? Yes. When's the last time any of you people have been on the fucking tube? It's horrendous. And now with this whole epidemic, you want people to go back to work, but now it's the most ludicrous thing.
They haven't disinfected the tubes. They haven't cleansed.
They definitely have, bro.
Have they?
There's no ways that they're going to just allow that. No fucking chance, bro.
Okay.
So you'll have people at every stop wiping shit down. I haven't seen shit either, but I haven't gotten on public transport in months.
Well, luckily I've got my motorbike, so I don't need to.
Yeah, so you're cool with that. So I'm for social distancing. Okay, if you really want to crack the virus, and scientific data is saying to you, okay, we need to keep people apart because, okay, fine, I'm all for that. You want to wear masks, okay, it's uncomfortable, but I get that. But now you're putting us back in a position where you're forcing us all down a route no one asked for. But this whole lockdown was to give countries medical
the ICUs time to
gain stock, so that when this
how many
crisis,
of these hospitals are empty?
Yeah, but which is a good thing right now because
100%. I don't want people to fucking get sick and die.
Yeah, but also which means that we've given enough time for them to prepare. Okay, so now we're going to go back out into the normal world, and we're going to go and try and get back to society. But now we are all very aware that there is a very big chance that we are now going to get the disease whether we've had it or not. Because now you have to go back to work or whatever the case is. So it's not like any of us are against it. I'm all for that. But you're now putting us in a position where we cannot social distance, where we cannot do these type of things. Now, that's conflicting information.
Yeah.
Now, we understand that. So now, the whole thing that we also talk about censorship is why is it that only certain people are allowed to give their opinions and other people are not? That's what troubles me, and this is what this whole Facebook thing is. You and I have been able to sit here regardless if we're friends or not. We're talking to each other. We have, even though we think the same, we still have very different opinions on even the same subject, different viewpoints. I didn't find it necessary that if you want to express yourself on Facebook, you can't, because you're going to have 1,000 people shitting on you. I did a test the other day. Literally one day, or before I went to bed, I said to my wife, I want to see if I can make this next post an epic thread. So I put up a post. I said, it was something, I was trying to be smart. I said, do you remember when Galileo had his YouTube video taken down because he proved Copernicus's theory was correct? And being a joke, being a funny thing, it started an insane thread. I think I had like 100-something comments or whatever. But people, and it was a bullshit debate about the facts about Galileo and Copernicus and YouTube. It was like, guys, are you fucking for real? Galileo was thrown in jail because he said, no, the Earth's not flat.
It's round.
And Copernicus 200 years earlier,
yeah.
And they threw him in jail and they said, you're a heretic. You're this. And then what do we celebrate? There's a museum in his name. Everyone now knows the Earth's not flat. Well, some of us do.
Yeah.
So
that's
why?
Another one right there.
Yeah. So why back there? So how does people not understand? So like those type of people, they were before their time. They were labeled crazy. But
Heretics.
everything has kind of shown these days that they're actually not crazy. They were just a little bit ahead, of their time. But do you think that those people back then stopped discussing, well, actually, okay, the Earth's flat. Yeah, but it does really make sense. Why? Because if you look at it, so those people didn't stop thinking for themselves. They carried on thinking. If they didn't carry on thinking, we wouldn't have had any innovation. We wouldn't be able to sitting here having this conversation.
Or we would have just been 200
right
years
now.
behind the times.
Yeah. So if you don't have a different opinion about things, you're never going to grow. You're never going to expand. So I don't understand.
No, with the growing and the expanding is listening to somebody else's opinion.
Yeah.
And weighing up in your mind what you feel is the truth.
Yeah. And also you can disseminate who that crazy fuck is with a video talking shit. You can tell straight away. And if you don't like it,
switch it off.
Change it.
That's it.
If you want to discuss that person's opinion, discuss it by all means. If that person's not going to want to be challenged, they're not going to want to be. There's no getting through to them. Then just leave them in their own world.
Yeah.
That brings you to one of the last things I want to say. This whole Facebook thing, right? And talking to these people these days about where we are, because you're either for it or you're against it. There's no, well, I'm neither.
No,
I didn't ask for this.
Did you see that post I made where it's 4 circles interlocking with each other? And that is that is to me the biggest truth.
Yeah. All those people that I had this Facebook battle with, I took that picture and I posted on every single one of their walls.
Brilliant.
And I was like, guys, now this is where I am. You should be here. If you aren't here, then don't talk. Rather just unfriend me because, it's, you don't like it, don't read
I'm not
it.
saying one way or the other is correct. I'm saying I've got questions.
Yeah, exactly. I've got questions. Do you have questions? Yes. Okay. So then let's talk. Let's talk. You might find that we have the same.
And again, I'm not saying that I'm right and they're wrong, because it's not the first time in my life that I was wrong about something.
No, I'm wrong every day about shit.
Yeah.
It's not even like I'm a curious person. I want to learn. I want to know
and grow.
Yes,
I want to be better than me of yesterday. Yeah, and that's the only competition that I've got.
Yeah.
Is me of yesterday. If I'm better than that guy, I'm fucking winning at life.
But unfortunately, some people do win a bit more at life than others. Unfortunately.
But this is the way the cookie crumbles, mate.
It is. I was thinking about this the other day. This thing that we're going through right now, where we feel like you can't post your opinion online,
express your opinion,
express yourself. It's like talking to 99% of religious people.
It's like this because I believe it.
Yes.
All I need is my belief in this.
Show a bit of logic, and you break their programming, and then all of a sudden you're a heretic. You're don't believe in this. You don't believe. You're called every name under the sun because you've provided a little bit of logic for someone, just a tidbit for them to think about. Or you asked a question, and then they were just so mind blown that they just shut you down, shuttle over you, and you ruined their day.
Yep.
What I find is happy is exactly like that. Two instances. When I came back from America in 2001, I didn't have a place to stay. I'd moved out of my house. I was 18 years old. I didn't know what the fuck was going on. I wasn't going to move back to my family or anything like that. I've had a taste of what the world was. So when I came back to America, one of my very good friends, his name was Etienne. He was like, man, come stay in my house. We've got an extra room in the house. My mother said she would love to have you there. You could pay us rent. It's okay. It gives her a bit, we all cool. Okay. So came back from America, moved in with him. His mom fully Afrikaans en Geerkerk. Fully. Now, en Geerkerk is a subdivision of...
that includes, saying grace and saying thank
Yeah.
you after dinners and before in the morning when you wake up. I mean, I was brought up religious.
Yeah, well, obviously the different sects in
Yes,
religion.
yes.
So the NG Kerk, it's an abbreviation for the NG Church, the full name.
Nederduits Gereformeerde.
Yes, which is
Dutch,
old
the new,
Dutch, new
no,
Dutch
new
Reformed.
Dutch Reformed.
Yeah, New Dutch Reformed church. Now division. So those guys are
hardcore.
Man, hardcore is not even the word. Those people believe so blindly that it's absolutely ridiculous. So anyway, so his mom, she liked when I moved in because, you know, I'm like a quiet guy. I also grew up religious, so she was very happy. And then I think I moved in on the Monday. We spent the first week there. I think it was the following Thursday or Friday. So I was like, you know what, would you do me a favor, just take me down the road to Catholic Church. I think I need to go do confession or something. I don't know, you know, I mean, we've been partying, and so just as growing up religious, I felt a bit like my soul needed some redemption. Yes, you know.
Yeah.
So we were just about to walk out the door, and his mom was very happy. Where you going with my son? Oh, he's taking me to church. And she was like, oh, you're the best thing that's happened to him. I really wish he had more friends like you that wanted to go to church. I was like, okay, and she was very happy, and she's like, well, before you go, what church are you going to? It's like, well, Catholic. I'm going to a Catholic church. Within a split second, she flipped out.
Yeah, you have to move out. Sorry, this isn't working out.
Yes, you're not going anywhere with my son. You are a devil worshipper. You are, seriously, you gotta... So my friend flips out. He's like, Mom, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
So we left, and we kind of went off somewhere. My friend was like, dude, I'm so sorry. I don't know what's up with my mom. You know, 1 minute she was so happy, the next minute. Then we got home later that evening, and his mom had gone to bed. And I walked into the room where I was staying at, and on the bed was 6 comic books. Now, the comic books were all written in Afrikaans, and it was about the Catholic religion. So the first one had to do with how the Catholic Church helped the mafia. The second one had to do with incest. The third one had to do with pedophilia. The other one had to do with... so it's basically 6 comic books on just how evil the Catholic Church was.
Not that any of these things aren't true, but it's not like they're less true in any of the other departments.
Besides their point, you know... as a Christian person, you think you can sit down with someone and say, listen...
we all believe in God.
Yeah, let's talk.
We all think Jesus was a man. So...
Yeah, you know, let's talk. There was no room for discussion. So I basically took the magazines, gave her the magazines back, and I still paid her. I was like paying her rent every 2 weeks. That was the first time I was going to pay her rent. So I gave her the magazines, and I handed her the envelope with money, and she was like, before she took the money... She was like, well, you know, we were conversing in Afrikaans, and, you know, sometimes Afrikaans mothers can be very stubborn, very single-minded. You're not going to tell them shit.
Yeah.
So she was asking me what I thought about the comic books. The literature, yeah. So I was like, okay, can I sit down? She said, yes, you can sit down, and her and I were talking. I was like, look, I completely get where you're coming from. Okay, I understand the Catholic Church might not be the most ideal church or holiest church as far as that goes, well, you know, whatever it is. I get that. I understand that there was like the holy wars where there's this, and obviously it's breaking all of God's command. I get that. And she was like, yeah, but why do you go to that church? And then I asked her, I'm like, can I ask you something? Yes. And I reverted to the commandments about treating as love yourself and all this type of stuff. And I asked her, I said, where in this 10 commandments here does it say what you're telling me? It doesn't say you shall not judge. What do you do? So I basically switched it around on her to show her that she wasn't being Christian at all, and that because my views were different, she should respect it.
Yes.
But at the same time, maybe converse with me and try to find out what makes my views a little bit different. Her son doesn't go to church. He takes drugs every single weekend. He's in a middle band. He's completely the opposite spectrum of where she is. So don't you think that there's a bit of an issue going on here? You've pushed your kids so far away where you didn't try and reach a common ground.
Yeah.
So when her and I spoke, when I tried to give her the money, she was like, I don't want your devil money. You pack your shit, get out of my house now.
Whoa.
Kick me out of the house, just like that. Off
Brilliant.
you go.
That's great.
So anyway, so after that, I was like, there's something wrong with these people. You know, you can't really chat to them. Fast forward to when I came to London, I was working at the Hilton Hotel. There was this guy working there, his name was Frank. As a French guy, he always wore very ridiculous suits. One fucking gold suit, then sequin suit. Like, he looked like he should be in a circus.
Right.
So anyway, so he was like this religious nutter, and he would get into fights with the Muslims at the hotel, and we had a huge Muslim community working within the hotel. So every morning they would go in, they would pray, they would wash their feet, they would just, and he would come into the change room and he would swear at them, and he would like try to preach at them, and like shout at them. And these guys are like, dude, I'm fucking care about what you're saying, whatever. And I was like, damn, this is a bit of a it's an issue. So one day I just said to him, I said, look, Frank, okay, let you and I go and have a cup of coffee afterwards. Let's talk. So we go down the road on Edgware Road. We sit at a Starbucks. We're drinking a coffee, and he's starting to talk to me about the Lord and about this. And I'm like, okay, bro, yeah, I'm on your side. I'm on your side. Trust me, I had a religious experience growing up. I was an altar boy. He was like, you're an altar boy? Are you Catholic? Yes. And he jumped up, shouted at me in front of everybody, oh, we need to work on you. We need to help you because you have the devil in you and blah, 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 blah. And he started shouting at me. And I was like, okay, bro, listen, let's leave Starbucks. Let's go stand down there and talk because you're
causing a scene.
Oh, yeah. But what I didn't realize at the time is that he was one of those street preachers, with a megaphone on his back. God, your time is now. Like, I didn't realize that because I've been working at that hotel for about 6 months, and I was doing this. So we went outside, and he was like shouting at me, bro. Like, I've never been shouted at by someone like that before. Like, this guy is trying to shout Jesus into me, and I'm like, bro, look, I'm wearing a rosary. No, but whatever it was. So I walked away from that at the end of the day. A couple of months down the line, I'm on the train heading to my house in East London, and I kind of hear this commotion on the train. So I walk to the middle carriage, and I see it's this douchebag Frank standing in the middle of the fucking carriage, shouting at everybody, Jesus is here, you're all sinners, blah, 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 blah. And then these guys were like, hey, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, man.
We don't care about you. Yeah. So then I was there and I realized who it was. And I said, hey, guys, listen, this guy's a nutter. He works at our hotel. He's a nutter. He started going for the two guys on the train actually picked him up by his suit. When the doors opened, they threw him out.
Brilliant.
Like, he went, bam, out of the train, landed hard. I think he kind of scraped his suit and shit like that. So anyway, the next day I had to go to HR and actually go and say, listen, this guy, he has a problem. Yeah, he has a problem. So, those type of people I find is almost what we're having to deal with a little bit on Facebook these days. Yeah. They're not accepting of your point of view. They don't realize that, hey, you know what separates you and me is that you like red, I like blue. Same people.
Or you like burgundy red, and I like that. It's almost so stupid. Like, you want blood red, and I've got burgundy red.
Yeah.
And we're different.
Battling over how that's different.
How is my red better than your red? That's what it is. It's not even red and blue. I've got a different shade of red, and my red is the best red.
Yeah.
Because clearly it's blood red and it runs through your veins, so it's the core of who we are, and it makes up,
Yeah, my belief's stronger than your belief, and it's silly.
Like, it's silly. Hopefully this thing is all going to work itself out. I think with the easing of the restrictions, when people are going to maybe start moving around a little bit more and seeing each other a little bit more, that maybe we can get back. I was also hoping for a positive thing, that people were going to get together.
Yes, come
in the
together,
beginning,
people.
it was the first 2 weeks, everybody was positive, and it was like making things and doing things and being happy and being fucking upbeat, and then it turned dark. But hopefully now the darkness is going to lift a little bit. Let's hope.
My point of view, and this is my point of view, and I hope I'm 100% wrong on this. I do. I think what's going to happen now, we've all been very compliant with what we've asked to do. You and I right now, our work that we've had for months in advance, gone. 2020 is probably cancelled for us.
No, 100%.
If it comes back in September, like everyone's saying, it's going to be a small function. 20 people here, 50 people here, whatever. So you can pretty much write 2020 off.
Yes.
What I'm hoping that doesn't happen is my biggest fear is right now, as soon as we've relaxed, everyone can kind of go back, things okay, people are still keeping their distance, they're washing their hands, they're doing their thing, but now, because everyone's been allowed back in society, there's going to be a massive spike.
Second
this
wave.
whole thing that they've been talking about these, that might happen, and then all of a sudden again, we're back in lockdown, and then these
it's
things
permanent.
happen again. That's what I'm afraid is going to happen. I'm hoping that the allowing us back to come together crushes it, because maybe the deaths might be high at some point, but they really realize that
herd immunity is the only way,
and also that it's not as bad as we anticipated.
Well, I mean, it's not as bad as was first projected,
because I feel people have complied. They've done the social distancing.
Yeah,
they've stayed at home.
So it was necessary.
So without us doing that, it would have, I think, gone absolutely beyond fixing it.
Maybe.
So we've
but
helped
we'll
out.
never know. Thank God we won't ever know, right? But yeah, they've over exaggerated massively.
Did you see the statistics yesterday? That yesterday's infection rate in London was 24 cases.
A day, yeah. And it's been
Outside
like that for a week.
Outside of London has been thousands.
The northeast of England, 4,000 a day.
Yeah, and we're down to 24. So it shows you that the people in London, in the metropolis,
have complied.
Did their fucking duty and stayed the hell away from each other, not gone out as much as we wanted. They've missed funerals, weddings. Well, we've done our bits. We've helped. Now it's time to help us.
Yeah, give us a little
back
bit back
and do our thing. Yeah.
Yeah, well,
nuts.
we'll see what the future brings. Hopefully there'll be gigs or something sooner or later. I think we should probably call it.
Yeah, man. Let's call
you,
this.
If you wanna get in touch with Dillan, I'll introduce his social media stuff, and you can agree or disagree with him there and see what he's been up to. Listen to some music. Let's keep it positive, please. Let's keep it positive.
I'm not a political person. I'm not a conspiracy theorist.
Let's build on love. Let's build on positivity. Let's build on community in a good way, right? Let's be aware that everybody has differing opinions. Whether you're right or wrong, know that other people are of a different opinion, and that's okay. And also that the way to converse with each other shouldn't be through hate. Let's just build on love.
Yeah.
That's all I want to say is let's come together and be positive and find ways to make things better through love.
Think about all the interesting conversations you've ever had with any one of your friends when your opinions have differed. Could have been over a beer that turned into a drunken night. It could be over a sport. Like, it doesn't. If your opinions differ, it makes for interesting conversations.
Growth on both sides.
Sometimes you're just like, fuck you, I'm out of here.
That's it.
But at the end of the day, it's refreshing to meet people with different opinions and talk to them. Sometimes, yes, your opinion might suck in my eyes, and you're actually, but if you don't
sometimes
talk,
you're wrong, and sometimes I'm wrong. Yeah, like I just said.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it wouldn't be the first time today that I'm wrong. So let's just all chill the fuck out and be positive and be grateful and happy that we're alive.
Also, thanks for having me.
Hey man, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Do it again,
I would shake your hand with this one, but I'm not gonna.
Let's do a self-isolation high five.
Lovely.
Social distance high five.
Thank you very much, brother.
It.
Yes, sweet.
Take care and stay safe.
Now, I hope you've all enjoyed that as much as I have. And yeah, as you have seen and heard, we got in quite deep in this one. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll be sharing Dillan's social media, as will I do mine. If you want to support the podcast, you can do so at patreon.com/HeySoundGuy. Please like, share, subscribe. Until next time, keep it sound.